Fox Deportes. The Big Ten Network. Speed. Fuel TV. FoxSports.com. Fox Soccer. FSN. And Fox Sports, the greatest collection of sports properties in the world.
We are Fox Sports!
Hey y'all, it's racing day, so loud out here I can't hear a thing. Man, the fans are going wild. These drivers came to rock, and no place else but Fox knows how to do it NASCAR style.
Boogity, boogity, boogity! Let's go racing,
And
boys!
it's, hey now, here we go, race day. Don't you be going slow. Keep that pedal down on the floor. Push it to the crowd, can't take no more. Big hair since the flag came down. Be here to the last lap around. Worked all week, it's time to play. Gonna get a little bit sideways. Down the head, the last lap around. Worked all week, it's time to play. Gonna get a little bit sideways.
This is Bristol, Tennessee, located in the hills of the northeastern part of the Volunteer State. It's where people camp and corral and congregate for high speed and high tempers. Time now for the NASCAR on Fox pre-race show delivered by Pizza Hut. And in the U.S., there are at least 30 cities named Bristol, but only one brings you this scene. And we're glad you're along for the action and the wild ride. And the best drivers are here in a place that can easily become the theater of the absurd. He's from the state of Tennessee, the Daytona 500 winner, 20-year-old Trevor Bayne. Dale Earnhardt Jr. won here in 2004 in the top 10 in points. Jimmy Johnson, he won this race last year. And, of course, Jeff Gordon going for his 6th career Bristol win. It is as brutal for these guys as it is picturesque for all of us. Fox Sports will take you to great heights here from our location down in the pits. It's where America gathers every weekend for NASCAR, and we're glad you're along with us. Hi, I'm Chris Myers, and NASCAR is back at it for the 4th race of the season after a week off. The weather today, so far so good, and our sunshine guys are here. The driver, Darrell Waltrip, Jeff Hammond, the crew chief. Hey, and you enjoyed your weekend off like the drivers?
Oh, no, I didn't enjoy my weekend off because I had to work.
And so did I.
You and I had to go to L.A.
Yes,
and this guy,
all I can say is I worked on my tan and drank a little margaritas watching you guys work. I kind of enjoyed it.
Laying on the beach.
Yes, or more like in a tanning booth watching Fox.
Hey, oh, baby.
That's okay.
No, easy,
right,
easy.
Let's get to the storylines today. We have quite a few that I know people are interested in hearing your comments. And after 3 races so far, Tony Stewart, Kurt Busch are tied for the top spot in the standings. But Kyle Busch, who comes in here hot, after those struggles in Vegas, dropped him to 14th. He's won 3 of the last 4 in Bristol. Speaking of hot, Carl Edwards sizzling. He'll start from the pole for the 2nd time this season today. Remember, he was on the pole back in Phoenix. And the right side tires, remember, they were wearing out quickly. Well, NASCAR and Goodyear swapped out over 1,300 of those after Friday's qualifying. Shouldn't be an issue here. And NASCAR losing a good man when Bristol Motor Speedway president Jeff Byrd passed away in October. Today, the race is named in his honor. We will always remember him for what he has done for NASCAR. Well, let's talk about the race today and the kind of guy that it takes to win here. You won 7 consecutive times at Bristol. Who's the guy that everybody's talking about for this race?
Well, this is where the thunder rolls. This is Thunder Valley. And you know what I love about this place, Chris? Guys come in here and they'll get all upset and they'll get mad, they'll get in a fight and they'll say, I don't know what came over me. I just lost it. And that's what you'll see today. Guys just losing.
So this is where you revenge, you can pay people back, right?
Oh, yeah, you can easily do that right there. I mean, it's one of those kind of racetracks where a lot of things happen. I mean, when they drop the green flag, you've got to either be worried about getting run over or running over somebody else, Chris. So it's going to happen, inevitable. Somebody's going to lose their cool.
Chris, this place, some guys love this place. Some guys hate it. It's steak to some, baloney to others.
Well,
I like what Tony Stewart said about it. You come down in here, it's like coming inside a volcano, and you know good and well, sooner or later it's going to erupt.
we have plenty of baloney,
That's
and the
exactly
steak and the
right.
sizzle will come a little later. First short track race of the season, Bristol, 500 laps of anger management. And you have to be special to win here. While it's currently illegal to clone human beings, it didn't stop Darrell and Jeff from constructing the ideal driver using the best parts of the elite.
Let's build us a perfect Bristol driver.
A perfect Bristol driver?
I know you can build a perfect car. What about a perfect driver?
But where are we going to start?
Well, you
What do I
got to
start with?
You got to start with the brains.
Yeah.
Got to have the brains. I know you don't know anything about that, but you got to have the brains.
Well, who you wanna start with?
I say we go with this man.
Jeff Gordon? I like that. I like that right
Smart.
there. He knows how to win.
Stays out of trouble. Finishes a lot of races here.
Yeah.
Then you got to have that track presence, hand-eye coordination, quick moving.
Hey, I know who.
Who
I
do
know
you think we're doing?
I'm thinking right now,
You-
Kurt Busch.
We're thinking alike.
All right.
All right. And then you got to be in great shape.
Here's the man right here.
All right, Carl. Yeah,
Carl.
no,
Cousin Carl.
He can ride a bicycle for 500 laps
Yes, he
easily.
can.
He can drive a car. What's it take to be a champion? What do you got to have? You got to have
I
it
think
inside.
he's got to have it right here.
You got to have the heart.
You got to have heart.
The heart of a champion. And who would that be?
5-time. Jimmy Johnson.
No question about it.
Is there anything else that we've got to have to make that perfect driver, especially here at Bristol?
Nice guys don't win at Bristol.
Yeah.
Aggressive guys do. Restarts.
Yeah.
Double foul restarts. You got to be aggressive on those restarts, and you got to have a man that can go.
How about this guy right here? We know he can go. He's the only guy that's ever won all 3 races here at Bristol.
He swept this joint.
I'm
last
telling you
year.
right now, baby.
All these guys have got something that makes them special,
Yep,
something
sure do.
that helps them win here. But you know what? What do you think about this guy?
Always a
Hey, way to go, buddy.
self-promoter.
We can build anything, can't we?
I like
The best of everybody.
You know,
Yeah.
the only thing is right now, do you think you and I could work together, maybe build a perfect
Better
hose?
Yeah, they have that. Ryan Seacrest is his name. All right. Hey, with that driver, think of all the sponsors he'd have to thank with all of those parts putting together. But you started with brains, you had heart in there. What's the most important thing for this race?
Chris, this place is such a contradiction. You've got to be aggressive. You got to go hard. But you got to temper that just a little bit if you're going to be around at the end of 500 laps.
It starts with smarts and ends with smarts. You got to have a smart driver.
Why does
See,
he think
this guy beside me, he was pretty smart.
Well, and you said no room for nice guy. I want to see how Trevor Bayne handles things here in his home state. He hasn't done so well since the Daytona 500. This is the 101st race in Bristol. Among the active drivers who have the most wins, it's Kurt Busch and Jeff Gordon. We'll be talking with Jeff Gordon here in just a couple of moments. Here's what's around the turn as we're just getting started. The world's fastest half mile will bring out some temper tantrums. We're going to predict the next Bristol flip out. Speaking of flips, Carl Edwards, after the win in Vegas, he'll stand with RDW, and we'll talk with Jeff Gordon about his debut in Cars 2 and his character there, and what's Darrell all revved up about. More from Bristol, Tennessee in just a moment.
So far on Fox, NASCAR's season has started out with a bang. A new face emerged, Daytona's conquering hero. Then, things got hot in the desert as tempers flared, and the legend emerged triumphant.
Are you kidding me?
In Las Vegas, smoke reemerged a dominant force. But as Lady Luck giveth, she also taketh away.
We just gave one away today. Second sucks.
Alas, it was Carl who cruised to victory on that day.
That's the first one of the season.
We welcome you back live to Bristol, and there is Carl, our pre-race show delivered by Pizza Hut. Now, Carl Edwards' wife, Kate, watching back home. Her and her daughter, Annie, were with Carl when he won in Vegas, and they're expecting their second child in May. And we saw just behind us the starting grid as we have Carl Edwards' car and Greg Biffle in the middle of the action. 6 years ago on this very date is when Carl Edwards won his very first Cup race. That was in Atlanta. So he's one of the hot drivers. He's won 3 of the last 5 races. He's always up for an adventure. He races cars. He's flown his own plane. He went on a bike ride through Vietnam, and he even sat down with you for a little conversation.
It's fun to talk to a guy when he's on a roll, and right now Carl Edwards is on a roll.
I was thinking back. That is 6 years ago to the day almost. You and I were doing a very similar interview. This is almost like an anniversary for you and I. A lot has changed.
A lot has changed. I remember that. It was at Atlanta.
We were walking along there by the fence. I didn't have a sponsor. We didn't have a plan for that year. And then we went out and won that race for Scott's that day. Things started going, and just amazing, man. It's amazing to be here sitting on the pole at Bristol.
Well, your wife's a doctor. She's a therapist. You're just a little on the reckless side. I mean, you broke your ankle.
Yeah.
You broke your wrist. You jumped off the stratosphere. You know, Kate may have come along at a really good time in your life.
I don't know what she thinks about all that stuff. She doesn't say much about it. But I'm having fun, man. I get to do all this great stuff. I got to ride with the Thunderbirds. This is a blast. I mean, we're getting paid to go do something fun.
And little Annie, now, I was a little concerned when I was sitting in my motorhome at Vegas, and I saw a baby go flying through the air. And I said, oh my gosh, a baby just went by my window, and I ran out, and she's a little girl.
Folks, he is a good man. He came over, rushed over, like in your slippers, out of your motorhome. Stop, Carl, stop throwing your baby around. She loves it, man. She loves it when you throw her up in the air. She's great.
All right, we got same issue now we had 6 years ago. We got our contract. Then we didn't have one.
Yeah.
Now we got one. What are we going to do?
Last week after Vegas, you know, more people started talking to me about it, and I'm talking on the phone about it. And one of my good friends at home, he said, man, you need to take that phone and throw it away and just go out, spend time with your family, go to the races, you're winning, everything's working. And he told me something that meant a lot. He said, don't forget, Jack Roush pays you a lot of money to go drive that race car, and that's what you need to do.
Jack gave me this contract. He said, if Carl happened to say he'd sign it today, he wanted me to be sure to go ahead and get you to do it.
Yeah, I don't have a
pen on me. Well, you have had great success. Came close to winning a championship. Yeah. Is that, to a driver, to you, is that the most important thing?
Oh, man.
To win
you know how it is.
To win that championship?
Yeah, I know what it feels like to win a race. I mean, winning races is great. That's why we all do this, but I want to know what it feels like to win that championship.
Does it bug you that nobody's been able to beat Jimmy Johnson? I mean, five times. 5 times. Would you ever thought that would be possible?
That's unbelievable. I don't know how Jimmy's done it, but man, I want to beat him. If I could be the guy to dethrone Jimmy Johnson, that'd be huge.
You're a committed man.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it.
Good luck this weekend.
All right. Thanks. 6 years from now, hopefully we've got some more rings here. That'd be great.
Get you a couple of them.
I know. I need one.
And the car of Carl Edwards just behind us where we are here in Bristol. He went through, Darrell, for a young guy already that 70-race winless streak. We now know he's hot. So he's seen both sides of it. That seems to have matured him and allowed him to turn it around.
Chris, I've said this. I told him the very same thing. If I had to start a team today, he would be my driver. I like the way I like his commitment. I like his focus, his dedication. He's always up, and you know he's giving 100% all the time.
And again, I think he's, like Darrell said, he's got it figured out. He is definitely the guy who can handle the pressure. He knows what it's going to take Jimmy Johnson down, and he realizes you start early in the season like he already has, you keep the pressure on all year long.
And with that contract, he might get a payout like Albert Pujols the way things are going if he stays on a roll. All right, we're counting it out at the start of the race here at Bristol Motor Speedway. You're watching the NASCAR on Fox pre-race show delivered by Pizza Hut. In the wake of last week's horrific earthquake and tsunami, our thoughts are with the people of Japan. Join Fox Sports today and support disaster relief efforts. Visit redcross.org or text Red Cross to 90999 to donate. NASCAR on Fox pre-race show is delivered by Pizza Hut. Don't wait for the last lap. Order now to get your favorite pizzas at low prices. And our NASCAR on Fox pre-race show delivered by Pizza Hut continuing from Bristol Motor Speedway. This is the 4th largest sporting venue in the United States. Over 130,000 fans expected today. And again, the weather so far so good. Time now as we welcome you back to where we are on the grid with the cars right behind us. We're going to have to get out of the way when they start the race. Let's get to our Pizza Hut predictions, and we'll start upstairs. So let's check the review because Larry McReynolds has the lead. Actually, Jeff picked the correct winner last week. Mike bringing up the rear. So, Mike, you and Larry, give us your selections for today.
Chris, because I keep picking the right driver on the wrong week. So I'm going with a fellow who let one get away in Las Vegas, Tony Stewart.
All right, my man, he's won here 5 times. He starts the season with 3 consecutive top 10s, but he's tired of not winning. Kurt Busch, double deuce.
All right, Jeff.
Thing is, Larry Mack, you got the Busch part right, but you got the wrong one. It's Kyle Busch. He's the one that's been on the roll here lately. He's looking to bounce back. He'll be tough again today.
Yeah, you're right team, wrong driver. I'm taking the 11 car. I watched him at practice yesterday afternoon. He's on it. Car number 11,
hey,
Denny Hamlin.
Look, I hate to tell you, it's Denny Hamlin in the 11 car, not Darrell Waltrip.
Well, I like the way it looks.
I like the way you guys each play off the other guy's pit selection and pick on each other. Log on to foxsports.com/Pizza Hut and vote for the driver that you think will win. You'll have a chance to win a trip to next year's Daytona 500, and then watch for the updates in the race to see who won the vote to be the fan favorite Pizza Hut driver. As drivers are introduced, Carl Edwards, his song was the theme from Cheers moments ago. For those who thought Jeff Gordon was fading, his recent win brought him back into the spotlight, and not just in NASCAR. Jeff Gordon has been mentioned as a possible replacement for Regis Philbin on the show with Kelly Ripa. Remember, he filled in for Reg in the past. When Gordon comes here, he loves seeing other drivers in his Bristol rearview mirror. And Jeff is with us. Okay. He's front and center. Jeff, thanks for joining us live. Sorry, I want to make sure you were introduced properly. Your 621st consecutive start. We know this is tough on tempers. We've seen it with you before. How do you stay even-tempered when you come into Bristol?
Yeah, you know, every time you come here to Bristol, it's a tough balance because you want to be aggressive. This is an aggressive racetrack. It's a fast racetrack. Very tight, racing around here. So you want to be aggressive, but you have to be patient. So trying to balance that out is really, really tricky. And you never know which way is going to work for you, but you got to find those spots to win. You got to fight for the position, and other times when you need to give it up. So hopefully we do a good job with that today with our Pepsi Max Chevrolet. And I think the biggest thing is having a good race car, and Alan and this team have done an awesome job working through all the different things this weekend to get me a car that's well balanced, and I think we're going to have a good race car. We're fortunate to pick it up qualifying. We qualified 7th, so we got a good starting position and a great spot on pit road in that number 2 spot. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. Looking forward to getting through the race today and see what we've got.
Hey Jeff, it's DW. Look, man, I've always known you're a character. But you're going to be a character in the new Cars 2 movie. Tell us about it.
Well, just following in your footsteps there, DW. No, I'm so excited. I get to be Jeff Gorvette in the new Cars 2 movie coming out this summer. And, John Laster, somebody that I've met and I've just become such great friends with. And he's the one that puts all these movies together with all the folks at Pixar and his team. And, having 2 kids of my own now, being able to be in an animated movie like that, of that stature, is a dream come true for me. And I can't wait to go to the movie theater and take my kids to watch it. I think that's going to be an awesome moment for me as a dad.
Well, Daryl Car Trips.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Have a good time.
For you.
We appreciate it.
Yeah. Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Cars 2 opens in theaters in June. We have 43 cars rolling here as we continue from Bristol Motor Speedway. You're watching the pre-race show presented by Pizza Hut. People always get a little jumpy at Bristol. You never know what you're going to get here. So let's do, we got to do a kind of a sped up gas and go. All right, I ask the questions and you guys provide the answers.
Qualifying lap here at Bristol.
All right,
everything happens fast.
All right. Oh, I think the fans love it,
they
too.
love it. Thank you very much.
The faster, the better.
Keep your seat.
All right, you're on the clock, Darrell. What's your favorite Bristol feud from the past?
If I say rattle your cage, what would you say? 2000, Earnhardt Labonte. I love that. Wasn't very pretty, but it's pretty exciting.
All right, we might see that today, so let's start with both of you on this, Jeff. Who's your top candidate who will lose his cool the fastest today?
I really think it's going to wind up being Juan Pablo Montoya, starting back here 36 in the field, had a fast car in practice. I think trying to get up through that traffic, he's going to lose it.
You're not going to believe this, but the guy we were just talking to, Jeff Gordon.
Really?
I tell you, he's locked and cocked, and I think he's ready to have a good day.
All right. Well, the drivers get to choose their theme song. We had Clint Boyer went with the good, the bad, and the ugly when they're introduced here. So if you had a theme song, what would yours be?
Well, this is embarrassing. I apologize, but it's got to be Toby Keith. I want to talk about me.
No, I'm not surprised.
That surprised me. Well, I'm going to go something, a Toby Keith song also, but it's called Whiskey for My Men, Beer for My Horses. Yours needs to be the theme for MASH, suicide.
So, no, I don't know. Mine would be Why Can't We Be Friends? Remember War, that old song?
Why can't we
especially
be friends?
here.
The Village People.
That should be a theme song. All right, you're going to head up to the play-by-play booth.
I can't wait to get this thing rolling.
Rocking and rolling. But before you do that, when we think of famous goodbyes, Richard Nixon, remember the White House helicopter, Lou Gehrig at Yankee Stadium. There was Gina Davis and Susan Sarandon in the Thelma and Louise movie. In this week's Revved Up, what do you want to say goodbye to?
I want to say goodbye to that weekend that we just had off. Listen, folks, we had the most momentum we'd had in a long time. Best 3 races in years. Well, were you tired, Chris?
No.
No, you and I worked.
Yes, I wanted to talk NASCAR.
Hammond laid on the beach, but all the other drivers, a lot of the drivers went off and raced somewhere. They didn't want a weekend off. What they wanted to do, they wanted to be at a racetrack, and they wanted to be at a racetrack camping. I wanted to be at this race this weekend, and that's what I'm revved about. Don't ever do that again. No more off weekend that early in the year.
Hey, I'm with you.
The applause in the back. The
Thank
public
you very
has
much.
spoken.
Everybody agrees.
I think NASCAR has heard, because next year, with the later starting Daytona 500, we won't have a break until Easter, so I'm told officially. All right, and we'll take a quick break and count you down as you head up to the booth. Jeff and I will soon be heading to the Hollywood Hotel. A little more work here to do down on the grid, so stay tuned. Our pre-race show delivered by Pizza Hut, continuing from here in Bristol, Tennessee, the area known as Thunder Valley. The noise will come to a halt for opening ceremonies. Let's head trackside.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise and remove your hats for the presentation of our nation's colors by the United States Marine Corps and our invocation led by Reverend Mike Wright of the Van Sant Church of Christ in Van Sant, Virginia.
Dear God, we thank you for this day, this event, its host and its sponsor, and we're grateful for the men and women who are working here at home and overseas to provide for us peace and safety that we can enjoy events like this. And God, we have eager and excited hearts this afternoon, anticipating a fun evening, but yet we are well aware of a lot of broken hearts in our communities and in our region. We want to lift up the community of my home of Buchanan County this afternoon. So many are trying to recover from the horrific tragedy last week. And we pray a special blessing upon our Sheriff Ray Foster and his fine staff. And God, we're grateful for the individual that we are honoring this afternoon. Jeff Byrd touched a lot of lives, and we were so grateful that our paths could cross with him. Heavenly Father, we pray that you'll continue to bless his family and comfort them. And we're grateful to know that his spirit is with you and his memory will forever be in our hearts. And knowing this, God, we can ask that you bless each and every participant of today's running of the Jeff Byrd 500. In Jesus' name, amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, Trevor Bain will now lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and we invite you to please leave your hand over your heart as Billy Ray Cyrus will perform our national anthem.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave.
We're going to head over to the Hollywood Hotel. Up next, a special point in command to start the engines. We're glad you're watching our NASCAR on Fox pre-race show delivered by Pizza Hut from Bristol, Tennessee. NASCAR on Fox at our pre-race show delivered by Pizza Hut. We're glad you're joining us for a little racing on Sunday afternoon in Bristol, the northeastern portion of Tennessee at the border of North Carolina and Virginia. And if you were to Google us, that's where we are, and that's where you're going to enjoy some short track racing throughout this afternoon. And as we said, a crowd of in the neighborhood of 130,000 expected to see these guys go at it. And Dale Earnhardt Jr., the most popular driver, as Jeff Hamlin and I are back here in the Hollywood Hotel with the weather not a problem today. You got Junior starting in the back of the pack. Jeff, this on a short track, obviously track position, all that much more important. We know the front row is Fords, Carl Edwards and Greg Biffle.
Yeah, a lot of these guys right now, we haven't really talked a whole lot about guys like Kevin Harvick, for example, who runs well here. You go back and you take a look at Dale Earnhardt Jr., he's back here in 22nd. But some of the guys I'm going to be watching even behind him is Denny Hamlin and Clint Boyer. These guys have got to get a move on, Chris, because, again, when they drop the green flag, the leader is basically on the same straightaway with you.
And in the bigger picture, you talk about guys like Kevin Harvick and Biffle, Jeff Burton, who were in the chase last year but need to move up in the points picture. Of course, this is the fourth race of the NASCAR season after an off week, and it's NASCAR on Fox from Bristol Motor Speedway. Always an entertaining time. Let's head trackside for opening ceremonies.
And now, race fans, for the words we've all been waiting to hear, the Grand Marshals of the Jeff Byrd 500 presented by Food City, Claudia Byrd, Christian Byrd, and Belton Caldwell.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
And we're about to find out if the young Trevor Bayne can get back into victory lane, if Junior can end that losing skid. It's NASCAR on Fox.
And it's, hey, now, here we go. Gonna get a little bit
NASCAR on Fox, presented by GoDaddy.com in Thunder Valley, Bristol, Tennessee, where in 1961, 50 years ago, this track nestled between two hillsides. Folks sat in the grandstand on one side and the hillside on the backstretch. They struggled to put 20,000 people in here in the early days, but once this track went to live TV, it became one of the toughest tickets in sports. Low 60s today, light breeze, partly cloudy, not as warm as yesterday. Good day for horsepower, good day for action. Hi, everybody. Mike Joy with Larry McReynolds and 12-time Bristol winner, Darrell Waltrip. He never gets tired of hearing it. I never get tired of saying it. 7 in a row, an incredible feat. But, Darrell, you walk into this place, it's intimate. It's the Fenway Park of racing, the Wrigley Field. It's intimate, but is it maybe a little claustrophobic?
Well, when you get out on the racetrack, that's kind of how it feels. I mean, like, you're just closed in. You have no room. You can't hardly breathe. And somebody's always bumping into you. And pretty soon you forgot who am I after? You got to be sure you wreck the right guy if you're going to wreck somebody, because that's how confused you can get here.
Larry, things happen so fast here. It's not just the man in the driver's seat that has to make quick decisions. It's the fellow on top of the pit box, too.
Yeah, everyone has to make quick decisions as fast as you're going around this half-mile racetrack. For 500 laps, that driver's going to have to make split-second decisions. When that caution comes out, that crew chief will have to make a decision in a split second. Right or wrong, you'll have to live with it, make the best of it, especially late in the race, and that, my friends, will test the chemistry and the relationship between these drivers and these crew chiefs.
Mike, it's like being in a crowded elevator, and somebody keeps opening it, and somebody else tries to get in. And the guy's hitting you with his briefcase, and the guy's up next to you, and you can tell what kind of perfume she's got on. You can smell the hairspray, you smell everything. It's all bamming into you. Pretty soon you say, I got to get out of this place.
I believe he's ready to start this race.
Let's go racing, boys.
noise! 500 laps in an elevator. This is the only pit road in NASCAR where they still pit on both sides of the racetrack, and that creates its own set of problems. Under green, if you're pitting on the front side, you come in off turn number 4 and go to your pit box. On the back stretch, you come in off turn 2 and go to your pit box. But if you are pitting under caution, everybody comes in off turn 2 and either pits on the back stretch or comes around to their pit on the front stretch and then exits at turn 1. It's easy to forget which end is which.
And you need to remind me when you get ready for me to pit.
Let's get downstairs to our NASCAR on Fox all-star pit crew while they can still hear us. It gets noisy down there, Steve Burns.
Thank you, Mike Joy. Greg Biffle's still upset about a race in Las Vegas that he felt like the team gave away. Problems on pit road cost them a win. Greg Biffle was very emotional about it. The team has decided to make a change, moving a new gas man off of their Nationwide Series program. Brian Carr, the new gas man on the 16 team. They've worked extremely hard since Vegas to fix those problems that cost them a race, Matt Yoakum.
Steve, 4-time Bristol winner Kyle Busch told me this weekend has the same feeling as his 4 previous wins in Thunder Valley. Not stellar in practice, but mainly due to overdriving the race car, trying to get the most out of it. But once the race starts, he drops back a notch, gets into his Bristol rhythm where he's dominated in the past. He'll roll off 12th on a drive for 5. Dick Berggren?
Well, Bristol is Kevin Harvick's kind of racetrack. He's aggressive. You need that here. He's a finisher. You sure need that here. He has won 6 times across 2 different divisions. Today, he starts 15th, Chris Devoda.
8 years ago, when Ryan Newman turned the quickest lap here at Bristol, we gave him a nickname. But that day, he didn't just become the Rocket Man. He earned a great pit stall. He does not have that today. He's locked in back here in 21st. But what he does have, the only team I talked to today, Ryan Newman said they did not lose anything balance-wise when they put on those new tires. They are extremely happy with this race car.
Thanks, folks. Have a great day down there. We'll send up signals in case you can't hear us. This race is brought to you by Budweiser, the beer that starts with full flavor and ends with a crisp, fast finish. Great times are waiting. Grab some Buds. And here's your GoDaddy.com starting lineup. Carl Edwards, 9th Cup pole, 2nd at Bristol. Greg Biffle, 3rd front row start here. Row 2, Regan Smith, best career start. Paul Menard gets his first top 10 start at Bristol. David Reagan, his first top 20 start here. Jimmy Johnson, last year's winner. Jeff Gordon, 5 wins here. Martin Truex, 3rd straight top 10 start. Mark Martin's a 2-time Bristol winner with Casey Kane. Matt Kenseth with Kyle Busch, who's won the last 4 NASCAR races at Bristol, including yesterday. Tony Stewart won here in 01. Marcus Ambrose, 3rd here in 09. Kevin Harvick, the 05 winner with Bobby Labonte, and we have a look back through the grid. Let's ring up Smoke.
Hey, Smoke, it's DW. Got a copy?
Yeah, bud.
Smoke, got a question for you. How do you handle it when things get going a little rough and they get aggressive out there? What do you have to do?
You got to do the opposite of what your emotion wants to do. You gotta know that when you take off here, it's a tight place, and you know, some of these other tracks, when somebody runs into you, you think it's intentional. Here, it's very easy to have unintentional contact. So you just got to be patient. You got to shrug a lot of stuff off here. You guys have always said it best. You got to leave your emotions at the gate. That's what you basically got to do.
All right, buddy. Thank you. That's exactly what we wanted to hear. Have a great day and good luck.
All right, buddy. Thank you.
NASCAR informed the teams there will be a competition caution at lap 50. So the teams are prohibited from adding fuel to their cars until that competition yellow at or around lap 50, depending what's going on the racetrack. Banking as high as 30 degrees at Bristol. Today, 500 laps, 30 miles an hour on pit road, and 130 to 140 laps of Sunoco race fuel.
And they got into some green flag pit stops in yesterday's race, so it's not out of the question that it can happen.
Oh, I think we will today, Larry. I believe that.
Dave Blaney lost an engine on his qualifying run, so he goes to the back, as does Casey Mears, with a new transmission in his car. This is the quietest it will be for the next 3.5 hours.
Yeah, I said, what's wrong? Something's wrong.
Ready to race. Thunder Valley about to erupt with that joyful noise Lights out atop the safety car. And the field heads up into the banking in turn 3.
It's a pretty tense moment right here. This getting this thing off, getting it going. Hold her down, boys. Hold her down. Green flag. Boogity, boogity, boogity! Let's go short track it, boys!
Carl Edwards took right off, and that outside line went with him.
Man, I tell you, when they dropped the green flag, Carl was ready to boogie. I can tell you that.
Paul Menard second. Biffle slots in third. Jimmy Johnson. The battle is Truex on the outside of Regan Smith, right behind Johnson. That's for 5th place.
Martin Truex Jr. in that 56 car, he was one of the fastest drivers in both of the practice, most consistent yesterday.
Johnson and Biffle almost trade a little bit of paint there. But it almost at Bristol, that hardly counts.
Oh, no, you're going to push, bump, grind a little bit, but that's okay. You heard Tony Stewart say you got to let that go.
Jimmy Johnson at third. Biffle fourth. Here comes Truex on the outside. He cannot clear Regan Smith.
There we're already seeing a bunch of different grooves that these drivers are able to run at the bottom, in the middle, and at the top, depending on how your car is driving right now.
Yeah, with this progressive banking, I mean, used to you had to hang the bottom. I mean, right down on the black asphalt there at the bottom. Now, I mean, it won't be unusual to see cars rubbing the wall here in the race as we get on into the race.
Kyle Busch up to 8th from 12th, looking over the back bumper of David Reagan. You're riding with Kyle.
And really, when you run up high like that, when you come off the corner, it's like getting shot out of a cannon. You got all that momentum, and you just fly down that little short straightaway.
From Tony Stewart, looking at Bobby Labonte.
I noticed Tony, Mike, on the start there, he just kind of was looking for a place to get in line. The car must not have been real to his liking for those first few laps. Now he's settling in.
Kurt Busch in the 22, Marcus Ambrose on the outside for 13th.
Kurt Busch started back in the 20th position. They finally got that car driving like Kurt was needing it in the late stages of that final practice.
And in that practice, the whole field was covered by about 0.8 of a second. Hard for anybody to get away here. Let's see how this sorts out back at 13th position.
You know, Marcos Ambrose in the 9 car there, he wants so badly to win on an oval. Had a great run at Vegas.
Biffle trying to hold off Truex on the inside. And Darrell, it looks like the inside where Truex's 56 is, that's where you're going to have to go if you want to pass here.
Yeah, but it's really difficult because you get pinned down there, and that guy on the outside's got that big momentum up off the corner, and he keeps coming. Oh, he gets that right there is a good example. Not enough room to clear Marcos and get up in front of him. Now he can't.
Now they single file it just barely.
Now, Carl Edwards has pulled out to a half a second lead over Paul Menard in that 27 car. We've run 12 laps. Give it another 5 to 6 laps. They'll catch the back of the field. And that will just draw everyone back together.
Kyle Busch on a march. From 12th starting spot, he is now 6th and breathing down the back bumper of Biffle.
And Larry, you know, you've been here many years like I have. When you get some racetrack figured out, the setup, the driving style, man, you can't wait to get there. And that's how Kyle feels about Bristol. He has got this place dialed in.
Another big climber who was good in practice is that number 4 of Casey Kane. He started 10th. He's knocking on the door of 6th place.
He finished 2nd to Kyle Busch in that race yesterday.
And I think running yesterday's race is a big advantage because of some of the changes that were made with the tires and everything. I think that was some good laps put down by these guys yesterday. Really helped them today.
See Greg Biffle there in the 16 car trying to hold off Kyle Busch in the 18. We know how bad Greg Biffle wants a good run and a good finish because he's had a fast car. He's been fast all year, but have had a lot of issues, including the fueling issues at Vegas 2 weeks ago.
Paul Menard is on a march. Now, Edwards didn't let any grass grow underneath his number 99, but here comes Menard for the lead, and he takes it. First lead change of the day.
I tell you, Menard was closing it really fast, and Carl knew it, and Carl basically said, I can't hold this dude up. He's a little quicker than I am. How about Paul Menard? I mean, can you, driving for Richard Childress, he and Slugger Labby, they have put together an awesome race team, man.
He is the highest in the standings of the 4 Richard Childress cars coming in here to Bristol.
Talked to Richard Childress the other night about Paul Menard. Of course, he just joins Richard Childress this year as the 4th team. Brought the sponsorship with him. Richard told me, I tried to hire this boy about 4 years ago because we had a sponsor. We just needed a driver.
Let's dip a little further back and find Jeff Gordon in 10th place. He started 7th. Everything okay there, Matt?
Mike, the 5-time winner, is dropping spots. Moments ago, this was his conversation to his crew chief, Alan Gustafson.
Big trouble here. Real loose in, real loose off. That's what we'll fix you up.
And Gordon usually dominates, Mike, when his car's a little bit more on the tight side, so they've got some work to do, and there's big concern here in the 24 pin.
I think we saw that yesterday, Larry, in practice. He went out, he didn't run very many laps, he complained about the car. I'm sure they worked on it overnight, but I don't think they got it right, and he's not very happy right now.
Looking back from Trevor Bayne, from Knoxville, the Daytona 500 winner, at Ryan Newman in the 39, and the Blue Deuce of Brad Keselowski.
It's a battle for 21st that we're looking at right now.
Second place, Jimmy Johnson. In the 48, moving past Carl Edwards, who slips to 3rd. Steve?
Mike, the earlier report from Jimmy Johnson, he said the tires are too pumped up. The balance on this car is good, but I feel like I'm skipping a lot.
If there's one explanation every driver has about concrete racetracks, my tires feel like basketballs. I hear that every time we go to a concrete track.
Kyle Busch harassing Greg Biffle for 5th. Paul Menard leading for the first time in his career at Bristol. First caution flag of the day in Bristol, Tennessee. A pileup down the front straightaway and one of those accordion type crashes. Watch the 31 of Jeff Burton slow on the left of your screen. That backs everybody up. Brad Keselowski, David Rudiman in the 00 appear to get the worst of it.
Suing.
Riding with Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Here's the 31 up here, and he's the guy that gets all slowed down and causes these guys to bottleneck and bottle up. And
Good job.
like we say, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide.
Keselowski in the 2, pretty heavily damaged. So is Rudiman. Denny Hamlin in the 11 got some of it. So did Brian Vickers and Jamie McMurray.
I think it goes to show you how quick things happen here. Brian Vickers in that 83 was in turn 4 when all that started, but you get there so quick.
A number of these cars are all going to, the one car gets a lot of contact here from Keselowski's car. Then the 83 gets into the back of the Rudiman's car. Levin's up on the outside, and he gets kind of scraped into the left rear here by A.J.
Allmendinger, the 43. Denny Hamlin was just trying to get stopped.
That's how fast it happens here at Bristol. We talk about having to make quick decisions. Not even time for that.
I believe that 31 car must have had a tire down or something because he was just stopped up there in the groove.
Now remember, we will have a competition yellow at lap 50. Teams are not allowed to take on fuel at this caution. One of them, I believe Joe Nemechek, did. So he will serve a penalty. Hardly any damage to Trevor Bayne's car. Cosmetic damage. Let's have a look at today's UPS logistics of the race. On the pace lap, we talked about the dual pit roads and whether you enter which way under caution, which way under green. So make sure you're aware of where the right pit entrance is when.
And you can't hold back. You got to go the minute the green flag comes out, just like we saw Carl Edwards at the start of the race.
Yeah, and you got to have anger management. Again, I'll just refer back to what Tony said. You got to get, you got to get pushed around. You got to let go of it.
Paul Menard, the leader at Bristol for the first time in his career. Jimmy Johnson up for second. Martin Truex, Carl Edwards, Greg Biffle. None of those leaders stopped under this caution, but Denny Hamlin is in. Dick?
And this is his third time on pit road, Mike, to repair damage in the left rear corner of this car. He is one of the real experts in short track racing, having won 5 of the last 8 short tracks. And they're telling him, go, go, go. Hamlin's still sitting here. He's got to beat the pace car. He's going to do it.
Now he's pitted on the back straightaway. He has to come all the way around and exit the pits at turn 1 along with Jamie Mack. That's the way you have to do it under caution here, but he's able to maintain enough speed to beat the pace car.
Now, before they put all those timing lines in the turns down there, we used to slip around that turn there from the back straightaway, pick up a little extra speed before we got onto the front straightaway where they could time us.
Now it's treated just like the regular pit road.
Here's today's Ford F-150 EcoBoost track facts. This is the 50th anniversary of Bristol Motor Speedway, which now seats approximately 160,000 fans. The last driver to win here from the pole starts from the pole today. Carl Edwards did it in August 2008.
Yeah, Chris Meyer said in the pre-race, the 4th largest sporting venue in America, in our country, the 8th largest sporting venue in the world.
Often compared with the Roman Colosseum, which sat a mere 50,000 people. Going green this time, Menard elects the outside lane, as we expect most of the leaders will do. We've completed 34, just 34, of 500 laps today.
Oh, we haven't even got our water hot yet.
A.J. Allmendinger still on pit road as we get ready to restart. Green flag.
Pretty good start by the 48 car. He's going to give Menard a little bit of trouble here. Can't quite get up there behind him, or get in front of him, but he definitely falling behind him.
Here comes Carl Edwards, though, in that 99 car. Started on the high side, back in 3rd, trying to get a run.
Really, the 2 best cars I saw over that first 37 laps was the 27 and the 48, with the 18 closing.
And Michael McDowell heads for the garage. That engine sounding very sick in his number 66. I know his team had planned to run the whole race today. And happy birthday to one of that team's owners, Marcia Parsons. Five cars trying to break away, and Montoya wants to get up there with him in the 42, side by side with J.J. Yaley. Looking back from Clint Boyer, side by side. That's for 26th place. Up front, Jimmy Johnson wants to lead.
He's trying. He's challenging it. I think he may be able to get him. He's a little quicker, I believe, than Menard is.
He's especially quicker from the center out. Boom, right there when he picks the throttle up, and that speed carries down those straightaways even though they're short.
Yeah. New 3rd place driver Kyle Busch dove underneath Carl Edwards. Johnson looking for the lead down low. And Menard gives him enough room, but who's in the fast lane? Menard.
Yeah, that outside, you just got so much momentum there that it's hard to make that clear that car when it's on the outside of you.
Johnson relentless. Parked right outside Menard's left rear wheel.
But you know what I like about Paul Menard? I mean, he doesn't look back and say, oh, that's old 5 time. I better let him go. He's racing him hard.
Jimmy's got to go to work and take the lead, or he's going to have a mirror full of Kyle Busch.
Yeah, the 27 and 48 are both pretty good in a couple of spots. The 18 is good everywhere.
Darrell, it looks like what Jimmy Johnson in the 48's making sure that he does not do right here is overdrive the entrance to the corner, because he knows he'll give up a lot of ground if he does that.
Well, remember in practice and qualifying, he has that rev limiter in there. That's a warning device to tell you you're driving in the corner too hard. And I'm sure they're using that today.
Menard gets a good drive up off the corner, able to hold Johnson at bay. Lap car ahead. Rudeman going to drop down to the bottom. That may have an effect here, as the leaders are going to catch David Rudeman up here in 3 and 4, and they single file it. Dick Byrd on the leader.
Well, Paul Menard is a new team, Mike. He has moved over to Richard Childress Racing. He has 3 teammates here. With a new team, you might think he had borrowed their setups to run so fast. Not so. Slaughter Labby's setup is in this car today. He runs pretty much the same thing every place Menard runs. So Menard, very comfortable with the car today, particularly coming off the corners where he is very fast.
Well, they just used David Rudeman as a pick in that 0-0. Daryl, I don't even think David Rudeman is fast enough. You have to maintain a certain speed. He's almost in the way out there right now.
Oh, yeah, he's definitely in the way, Larry. I feel sorry for him, but they're probably going to have to bring him in and work on that car, because he's like a moving chicane right now.
Yeah, Rudeman with crash damage. Same with Brian Vickers, who's gone to the garage. Landon Castle is also pulled off and gone behind the wall. Lapping past Dennis Setzer are the 3 leaders. Casey Kane, Jeff Gordon battling behind Brad Keselowski. That's for 10th place, and here are the leaders once again.
Tell you what, when you got somebody riding your bumper like Jimmy Johnson is on Paul Menard, it's such a distraction to you. You can't help but look back. Caution out.
And this is the competition yellow, Daryl, at lap 50. I want to let you finish your thought first.
You can't help but look back and see that car riding your bumper, and it distracts you. And that's how come that guy in second place looks like he's a lot faster. He really isn't. He's just a big distraction to the guy leading.
And Daryl, you can't get away from him. You can't get away. You can't get out of the way.
No. And you don't want to let him go.
That's Bristol.
We had
go ahead.
had about 10 cars pit on that first caution, Mike, back lap 28. Remember, they couldn't take fuel. I think we'll see the whole field pit here. Don't be surprised if we don't see some people roll the dice and change just 2 right side tires.
Now, the reason for the competition yellow is that the right side tires Goodyear initially brought here for practice were not working into the racetrack and were causing heavy tire wear. So NASCAR and Goodyear called an audible, and yesterday a new right side tire was brought in for these teams to use. That's the reason for the competition yellow, is to check tire wear after this change, and that occurs here at lap 50, and then we'll go clear to the finish. Here they come. Dick Bergman.
Well, Paul Menard is driving for a new team, but these are veteran people going over the wall that have come from other Richard Childress organizations. They are not going to adjust that car at all, Steve Burns.
Dick, Jimmy Johnson really likes his race car, telling Chad Canals it's just a little lazy in the center, but really, really good. No adjustments to that 4018 other than 4 tires, Krista.
Regan Smith saying he's just a little bit tight, but that condition is everywhere on the track, so they're going to make a small adjustment, 1 round down on the left rear. Crew chief also calling for 1 strip of tape off of the car. Matt?
Kyle Busch climbed up to the 3rd position, using this stop more of an experiment for the next run. 2 changes on this 18 car to try to help the car on exit. You can see Peter Gellin, the gas man, make that change. Busch said the car just too free and a little tight in the center. Meanwhile, the 99 of Carl Edwards, the pole sitter, his car absolutely too free everywhere. It was a handful.
First round of caution flag pit stops, competition yellow. And look at Tony Stewart with a 2-tire change, and his teammate Ryan Newman straight up the top of the board.
And you also see Kevin Harvick in that 29. They went with 2 tires, but they were on pit road at that last caution that I spoke about.
That worked pretty good at Las Vegas for Tony Stewart. You know, and it may work out really well here today. Being in front is so important.
David Gilliland is the race leader. He and Robbie Gordon both pitted on the prior caution at lap 30 and did not come in. There is Gilliland driving for Bob Jenkins Front Row Motorsports.
As a matter of fact, Mike, when I think back to Las Vegas and I think about Tony Stewart taking those 2 tires when everybody else took 4 and how well he ran, I think that really woke a lot of the pit crew chiefs up to say, hey, 2 tires is the way to go. And that may have been something that added to his misery at the end of the day.
It's amazing. With the click of the luck meter about 1/8 of a turn, Tony Stewart could be sitting here with 3 wins in 2011.
Larry, I always had a theory. You only got so much luck in the luck bank. And when you run out, you're going to have to get some. You're going to have to make a deposit somewhere along the way.
Keep an eye on that luck meter. Some people are going to want to borrow it before this day is over.
Yes, they will.
This is the only track in NASCAR where drivers say they can hear the fans when this crowd comes alive. Hard for the fans to hear much of anything, the decibel level at Bristol. So let's set it for you. Gilliland and Robbie Gordon on the front row, then Tony Stewart, Ryan Newman, Carl Edwards, Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson, Martin Truex. That's the way they'll restart. We're going to just stand silent. We'll let the Ford Mustang pace car take them around. It'll drop off in turn 4. And when they get the green, how about a NASCAR on Fox rank them up? Gilliland jumped out with the lead, but Ryan Newman had fresh right side tires. He took it away, and here comes Kyle.
Gilliland's car owner, Bob Jenkins, he's got to be jumping up and down there. He's a East Tennessee guy. That car's been running great for him. Good job, David.
Third in the Daytona 500, and Gilliland trying to make his mark here. They've got the Ford FR9 engine program this year and trying to elevate their status. So good run for David as Kyle Busch slips past into second. Here comes Truex in the 56 for third.
Yeah, you look at David Gilliland. He played on a high school golf team with a man named Tiger Woods. Golf worked out pretty good for Tiger. Looks like racing's worked out pretty good for David Gilliland.
Kevin Harvick coming in the 29, and Jimmy Johnson right there. They're battling Robbie Gordon, who, like Gilliland, elected not to pit on this caution.
Both those cars pitted on that first caution. That's one reason they elected to stay out.
Kind of watching the two-tire scenario for Ryan Newman in the 39 car there, who is just pulling out a little bit of a lead. His teammate that did the same thing, Tony Stewart, not quite as good so far on the two tires.
Newman pretty much alone. He's in front of Kyle Busch by 0.6 of a second. There's the gap. And you see Johnson and the 99 of Carl Edwards trying to move up. They're battling for 6th on the right of your screen.
Yeah, Darrell, what happened to Tony Stewart was he started on the inside, went from 3rd to 9th in the first lap.
Denny Hamlin back on the lead lap. He got the lucky dog. And a little bit of casual contact here between Harvick and Robbie Gordon.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is presented by GoDaddy.com. Domains, websites, and everything in between. And sponsored by Toyota. And by Sprint, proud sponsor of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series.
Looking over the hills at Thunder Valley, where inside that great Coliseum is the world's fastest conveyor belt. Half a mile worth of action. Today's aerial coverage provided by GoDaddy.com. Bristol Motor Speedway.
Mike, she's a lot like a heavyweight bout, a heavyweight fight. You know, you got to go 10 rounds and you don't want to get knocked out early. And so right now you're taking a few licks to the, you know, to the body and so forth. But you just wait. Wait till it gets time to knock somebody out. You'll see something happen then.
80 laps complete. You're riding with Kyle Busch, who has 4 fresh tires at lap 50, closing in on Ryan Newman, who took just right side tires at lap 50. And on the right of your screen, Robbie Gordon, who did not stop. He stopped at lap 30. Paul Menard, who led earlier, battling with Kurt Busch, who has 5 wins here. And during the commercial break, Jeff Burton came to pit road under green. Steve?
Tough break for Jeff Burton. Mike, he reported a bad vibration. Turns out the right front wheel was loose.
And on the half mile, Burton loses 2 laps with that pit stop.
Kyle Busch, he just kept working Ryan Newman in that 39, working him. Now he's going to use a lap car as a pick. He'll take the lead.
4 tires are a little bit better than 2 on this concrete racetrack,
especially on the longer run.
J.J. Yaley stays up high, and here comes Truex trying to cover on the outside. No room there.
Larry and I were watching the 56. That Truex car is pretty fast, Krista.
Yeah, and this was the plan all along, DW. Tony Gibson said track position just too important. The Rocket Man is used to starting up front. 21st, that's not going to cut it. They knew they were going to gamble and take 2 early.
Trading tires for track position. Worked out fine for a while. Newman now 3rd.
Yeah, Martin Truex Jr. in the 56, he's running about a quarter of a mile longer track than everyone else, but he has figured out how to make it work, especially from the middle off. He carries so much speed.
The good news about those 2 tires is we found out early. We may not want to try that later on in the day.
Darrell, let's take a ride with Kyle Busch, who is the new leader.
He's headed off into turn 3 here, 4, coming off the corner. See, he's got a considerable amount of wheel in it, but notice you never get the thing straight. The steering wheel is you're always turning. And you go down the straightaway, you can see got a little wheel in it, and that's how short these straightaways are. You just jump up out of one corner, you're right down into the next one, and you very seldom ever get your steering wheel straight ahead or your wheel straight ahead.
Darrell at second place. Look at the log jam here. Bill Elliott in the 09 up high, Andy Lally 71 down low. Bill Elliott got out of the throttle to allow the lead lap cars of Newman, Johnson, and Harvick to break through that log jam.
48 car looks he's pretty racy today too. He was good on that first run before the caution, and he got himself 4 tires and coming back to the front.
It's almost like Jimmy Johnson. He's finally got his arms around this racetrack. He won here for the first time a year ago, moved to the August race last year, led 175 laps after sitting on the pole.
Now this is a big surprise, I guarantee you, to Kyle Busch.
Martin Truex.
Who's up here challenging for the lead.
The New Jersey driver coming for the front spot and taking it on the outside.
Kyle will say, let me follow along here and see if I can figure out that Napa know-how, because that was pretty cool.
Isn't concrete the state flower of New Jersey?
It is.
Yeah. Every highway I've ever been on up there going to, oh well. 93 laps of 500 complete at Bristol.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox, presented by GoDaddy.com, is sponsored by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds.
You got a new slogan. What is it? Follow me in Tennessee. I think it's true. Congratulations.
Waltrip and Junior Johnson's Dew Crew celebrating one of their record 7 in a row. There's the 6th one. Okay, 7 right there.
Those some great times, man. And that's what you can do here. I've said it. You know, you figure it out. You can win a lot of races.
Martin Truex Jr. in the number 56 Toyota. First time he has led in a cup race here. But he got his first win on the Saturday race at Bristol in March of 2004.
Driving for Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Kyle Busch holding station in second place, about 4/10 back. And boy, back here's been a battle. Juan Montoya in the 42 has tried everything to get past Robbie Gordon's number 7, but you see he just doesn't have the pull off the corner. Marcus Ambrose in the 9 moves up, and here comes Regan Smith in the 78.
Somebody is going to use somebody up here in just a very short period of time.
But you talked about Juan Pablo Montoya in the 42 car in the pre-race, Darrell. He was one of those guys started deep in the field, 36th, that he was going to have to control his emotions to make his way up through there.
Yeah, Juan doesn't take kindly to somebody bumping into him. He doesn't care if it's an accident or not. He just kind of likes to repay you with a favor.
Well, he let Ambrose go, and Ambrose going to make short work of Robbie Gordon on the bottom. Remember, Robbie in that number 7 did not stop when everyone else took tires at lap 50 except he and David Gilliland.
I remember a race at Darlington. Crew chief came on the radio and told Juan he needed to get out of the way. And Juan said, I will park this car and you can get somebody else to drive it if you want me to get out of the way.
Veteran of Indy and Formula One. Champion caliber driver and a winner in road racing here in NASCAR. And here's Marcus Ambrose, the former Australian supercar champion. New team this year for him. A little bit of a new outlook. Trying to move that car to the front as he sits in 17. 2 positions forward of that, Jeff Gordon and David Reagan battle. Now, Reagan started this race in 5th and now fights with Gordon, who started 7th. Matt?
Mike, we told you earlier in the race, Jeff Gordon is simply, we are in big trouble, and he is still in trouble. The car still way too free on exit. He says he has to wait too long for the car to turn in the center of the corner. So a combo issue problem for Alan Gustafson to try to fix on their next stop.
And it's so much about compromises here, you know, because it's very easy to fix one part of the corner and hurt another.
5th on your right, Ryan Newman, Casey Kane.
This is not what Ryan Newman in the 39 wanted, was this long of a green flag run with just those 2 right side tires.
Martin Truex trying to pull away a bit. 0.8 of a second ahead of Kyle Busch in the Jeff Byrd 500 presented by Food City.
Stick around for more NASCAR on Fox.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing presented by GoDaddy.com is sponsored by AT&T. Rethink Possible. By the new Chevy Silverado HD, Motor Trend's 2011 Truck of the Year. And by American Ethanol, American grown, American made, powering NASCAR. Time for an AT&T race break. NASCAR at Fox from Bristol, Tennessee, and 30-year-old Martin Truex Jr. from New Jersey, who is leading for the first time here in a Cup race ahead of Kyle Busch and Jimmy Johnson for Truex Jr. Watkins Glen, the only other track that he has never at least led a lap in. Some quick storylines as we look through this race. Denny Hamlin, his 5 short track wins in the last 14 short track races, caught up in that wreck in lap 28. And is now a lap down. He came in 8th in points. Paul Menard has led 34 laps in this race, the most he's ever led in a Cup race, came in 6th in points. And Greg Biffle started on the front row with Carl Edwards, dropped out of the top 10 as we now have a car in the wall.
Yeah, Robbie Gordon right there in the 7 car. He's one of the guys who only took 2 tires in that one previous stop. Now he's been up toward the front of the field, but he's got the wall right now. And that number 7 car looks like he's done for the night.
And that'll bring out the 3rd caution. Yep. We were mentioning Biffle, who has 16 career wins, but none on the short tracks. And speaking of short track wins, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has one here before in a little bit of trouble.
Well, he got a big break right then. He was 1 lap down, but he should be in position for the lucky dog to get him back on the lead lap. And that's going to be the good thing. After you see him right there, right behind the leader when the caution came out, so he'll get the benefit. You see Robbie right there had his problems up against the outside wall. So a good break right there for Dale Earnhardt Jr., who rebounded yesterday in the nationwide race to be able to come back and finish in the top 5. So yeah, he can do it.
Gets the free pass. He's trying to finish in the top 10 for his 3rd straight race, something that hasn't happened for Dale Earnhardt Jr. since 2008. Before pit stops, let's check on AT&T, the fastest pit crew award. And last week it was the gas man, or last race in Las Vegas. Who's on the spot here?
I think the tire specialists right now, they got to make the right decisions. They don't have a lot of information on this new right side tire, so they're kind of working through that. So they got to be kind of careful today.
AT&T, the nation's fastest mobile broadband network. Let's check in with Dick Byrd.
Kevin Harvick pits out of the 4th position. His tire specialist has decided on 4 fresh tires for this car. This is a brand new pit crew this year, with the exception of the gas man. Steve Burns.
Small adjustment for Jimmy Johnson. Dick, he said he was a little concerned about the right front tire, saying he'd been taking it easy for the last few laps. Krista.
This caution, a huge break for Ryan Newman, one of the guys who took just 2 tires. Their right sides had never had this many laps on them, so the call obviously for 4 tires. Also, possibly a wedge adjustment. Ryan says no, just leave it alone. I want to see what these tires do. Matt?
Martin Truex Jr. says his car was a little free at the beginning of the run, but then it went neutral. He wanted a small adjustment to help the car on exit. Mike?
Thanks, Matt. Here they come off pit road. And Truex may beat Jimmy Johnson to the line. He does, coming out with Kyle Busch 3rd and Kevin Harvick 4th. We'll have to check on Robbie Gordon, whether he was just trying to stay on the lead lap or did he cut down a tire going into the wall. He had 100 laps on those tires. Sponsifier's back for 2011, and this year the winning designer gets a personal visit from their favorite driver. Go online for all new ways to create, customize, and share your designs. We raised the question, Martin Truex the leader. We raised the question going to break. What happened to put Robbie Gordon's car into the wall in turn number 1? Here's what he told his crew on the radio.
The right front tire killed another car. This is stupid. I'm pretty sure it's killed, boys.
There's Robbie to the extreme right of your picture, talking with the crew, trying to stay on the lead lap, but the right front went down. Into the wall he went, and we're under caution for the 3rd time at lap 128. Tough break for one of the few remaining owner drivers in NASCAR.
Had to deal with Food City this weekend. Had his speed energy drink, you know, on the doing a deal with them. He felt good. I talked to him earlier. He really felt good about his chances today of having a good finish.
Lining up for the restart, Dale Earnhardt Jr. got the free pass, so he's back on the lead lap. Truex, Johnson, Kyle Busch, Harvick, Kane and Newman, Kurt Busch, Stewart, Edwards, and Menard will be the top 10. David Gilliland drops to the tail end of the line for pitting before pit road was open. Now, he had those only 2 tires on the last stop and was hanging on in 7th place, had a great run. Now he'll restart back of the field as we go back to green at lap 136. Mayetta, New Jersey's Martin Truex Jr. His dad, a standout in modifieds in the old Busch North Series, with big wins up on the Magic Mile at New Hampshire. His Uncle Barney, well known around the modified circles as well. A real racing family out of Mayetta, New Jersey. Truex is your leader as Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick fight for 3rd.
We may have to start calling Martin Concrete Martin. I mean, you know, he won Dover, and here he's running great today.
You know, looking at Kevin Harvick in that 29 car, he started back in the 15th position. His crew played a little bit of strategy there on that
turn 2
caution.
Around goes the Blue Deuce. And I believe a tire went down. That car just snapped around. No contact, and now the caution is out.
He's got a lot of damage, and they've been coming in and out of the pits. They're working on it. You can see the left front is pretty much destroyed on that car. They've tried to tape it back together, but
control this thing is out of control.
Yeah, it's just out of control.
He went into turn 1 in a pack of 3 cars and spun without any further contact. So the caution waves for the 4th time today in Bristol.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing, presented by GoDaddy.com, is sponsored by Sprint, proud sponsor of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series.
Let's take an inside look at what's happening now inside the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by Sprint and HTC Evo 4G. Fastest lap of the race, Paul Menard, set back at lap 3. And the biggest mover up through the field is Juan Pablo Montoya from 36th to 14th. Fuel your inner NASCAR fan with live in-car audio and real-time stats on NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile and the new HTC Evo 4G at sprint.com/speed. We talked about the David Gilliland pitting too soon. He did not make a mistake. He was out of fuel. When he pitted at lap 30, that was before the competition caution. He wasn't allowed to take on fuel then. So he was out. He had to come in.
Right there in that fuel window at lap 130.
Done with the fourth caution flag of the day. Martin Truex leads them back to green with Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick, the Busch brothers, Ryan Newman and Carl Edwards.
I think what you'll see is some of these cars, as we have cautions, they get a chance to work on them. Remember, they made a little tire adjustment here Saturday. I think some of these guys are still working through that. To get these things dialed in, you're going to see some more cars come to the front that we haven't been talking about much.
The outside lane prevails, and it's Truex and Harvick down the backstretch. Now right up there with them, the man who knows his way to victory lane at Bristol, Kurt Busch in the 22. Steve?
I'd say Mike, a 5-time winner. He said the car's starting to tighten up, still just a touch loose. They reversed some air pressure adjustments they made on the previous stop.
Talked about him at the top of the show, the only driver in the first 3 races to have 3 top 10 finishes.
Jimmy Johnson works his way up into the outside lane and now drops back to the bottom, leaving Kyle Busch the high side. And they're single file.
You know something else about Kurt Busch? He's completed all the laps so far this year. So that's why he and Tony Stewart have also, it's probably why they're tied for the point lead.
Yes, sir.
Carl Edwards now in the picture in 6th, and right behind him, Paul Menard, Matt Kenseth, and Ryan Newman.
And Carl Edwards in the 99 and Paul Menard in the 27. Remember, started right up near the front. Of course, Carl Edwards was the pole sitter. When we had all those guys changing just 2 tires on that second caution, they kind of got back outside the top 10. Now they're fighting their way back up through there.
Casey Mears slow in the back straightaway, way up high and kind of out of harm's way. Looks like he will drop down to the bottom and come to pit road.
It's acting like he has a tire down, just seeing him kind of swerve a little off the corner there.
Meanwhile, Harvick wants the lead from Truex.
And he is working the bottom of that racetrack because he knows if he's going to pass Martin Truex Jr., it'll have to be on the bottom.
Well, that'd be a big plus because it seems like the guys can run the outside to get all that momentum. But if you can get hooked up around the bottom, that's the shortest way. You're going to pass a lot of cars.
The only driver in the top half dozen right now who has not yet won at Bristol is your leader, Martin Truex. He finished 6th at Las Vegas. He is 7th in the Sprint Cup standings, and he's trying hard to hold on to his lead.
That seems to be the big move now. Go in a little high and then diamond the corner off. Cut it to the bottom and get that run off the banking.
While these guys are side by side, Kurt Busch in that 22 right up there about a car length and a half behind them.
Harvick clawing away at the bottom of the racetrack. Takes the lead.
Got him.
Truex got way up the racetrack, and that allows Kurt Busch in the 22. Looks like he's going to get him now here directly.
Kevin Harvick, the 7th different leader of this race at 155 laps.
Brad Keselowski had that last problem, and we did find out he had a flat tire is the reason he spun that thing out. What I was going to say about Kevin Harvick, his crew on that first caution came in when most of the leaders stayed out. That allowed them on the competition caution at lap 50 to go with 2 tires and really gain that track position.
Martin Truex trying to get 2nd place back. Matt?
Mike, his crew chief Pat Tracy told me last night they were pretty confident coming in today's race because Martin really acclimated himself to the change from the old to the new tire, and it really has shown so far. He's dropped a 3rd. Martin says he has to run that super high line because if he comes down any, the car just goes too free.
Well, he has not been even close to the bottom of the racetrack since the drop of the green flag.
I think my brother's down there talking to him. Get up next to that wall. That's where he liked to run.
He pretty much run that high groove everywhere.
He ran at Martinsville, which was impossible.
Well, you don't have to look too far back to find fellows like Tony Stewart back in 12th place behind Montoya. Matt Kenseth up high in the 17. Now dropping to the bottom.
Mike, I've been watching the 14 car here, and he just seems to me like pacing himself right now. As we look at the 17 of Matt Kenseth, how's it going for him, Matt?
Krista.
Well, he's actually another one of the guys using the high line. As you watch him come off of 3 and 4, it's easy to spot him coming out of back-to-back wins in 05 and 06, always consistent.
Thanks, Krista. Tracking Montoya off the corner and right up and under Kenseth. Boy, Jeff Gordon and Trevor Bayne had a side-by-side battle for 3 laps. They are now joined by the 31 of Jeff Burton. Jeff Gordon is today's Pizza Hut fan favorite. See how he's doing here at 21st place in a car that they're trying to improve on.
Yeah, I can't help but think Jeff Gordon in the 24, Trevor Bayne in the 21, glued together almost the entire Daytona 500, trying to lead the race. Here they are glued together. Not a good day so far for neither one of those drivers.
I think Trevor, I love Trevor's expectations, though. He didn't come to Bristol thinking he could win this race. He's looking for top 20s. Let me finish in the top 20. I'll get better as we go along.
Making laps.
He's got Burton, Boyer, and McMurray trying to overhaul him right here as he runs in 22nd. Way up on the high side. Kevin Harvick, the 7th driver to lead today's race, has now opened up a lead of 1 second over Kurt Busch, and that's a long gap here at Bristol.
Is Kevin Harvick faster than a speeding bullet? Find out only on NASCAR on Fox.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox, presented by GoDaddy.com, is sponsored by the new 2011 Ford F-150, built Ford tough. By the Home Depot, more saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. And by McDonald's. I'm loving it.
Just past 1/3 distance with Kevin Harvick, your race leader by 1.6 seconds over Jimmy Johnson. Let's take an inside look and listen to what's happening now in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by Sprint and HTC Evo 4G. Even when you're the race leader, things aren't always rosy. Under caution, we heard this.
Did the wedge seem to help it at all, or did it hurt it? It didn't help it. You know, when I go to hit the gas, it just rotates so hard that I can't just put the gas down like I need to. Tires look good. See, they feel like bricks.
Fuel your inner NASCAR fan with live in-car audio and real-time stats on NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile and the new HTC Evo 4G, only from Sprint at sprint.com/speed.
Always think about when drivers out there leading a race and not real happy with his car. Well, it might be bricks and he may not be very good, but you're pulling away from everybody else.
Let's see how our front row starters are faring at this moment. Here's Steve.
Mike, Greg Biffle's struggling right now. He said, we've got to try something, guys. It just will not go. It's plowing like a dump truck. Cannot turn it. Matt Yoakum.
Steve, similar issue for his teammate Carl Edwards. He's gotten more help really from his spotter Jason Hedleski, telling him the lines that Kyle Busch and several other faster cars are running. He's migrated to that Kyle Busch line, and it's helped.
We definitely saw, though, when Goodyear NASCAR made that tire change, that the Roush Fenway Fords that had been so fast in practicing qualifying that they lost a little something with that new right side tire.
Yeah, they started 1-2. Edwards now 5th and Biffle 16th.
I think, though, Larry, as the race wears on and get some chances to adjust a little bit and work on it, I think those guys will get back.
Darryl, you talked about how physically demanding that this racetrack is. When I look at Kevin Harvick, a lot of these guys have a workout regimen. Kevin said that he feels like the best personal training for him is running 6-second laps around his personal go-kart track. He said the G-forces on your neck are about like they would be in a Sprint Cup Series car here at Bristol.
Yeah, go-karts are hard to drive. I mean, a fast go-kart is really hard to drive.
6th place battle. That's where Martin Truex finds himself, working past rookie Andy Lally in the 71. Casey Kane is there in the 4, and Paul Menard. Darryl, you see the cocoons that these drivers are in today, and you think back to the days of not even a side headrest or a shoulder rest and a piece of almost bungee cord to hold your helmet that you'd wrap underneath your armpit so your helmet would stay up straight on your head.
Yeah, really all you had to set up in the seat was a dog leash that you put on your left arm, put her in and hooked it to your helmet, and a little piece of seat that actually was right down in there. We didn't have all these big headrests and all up here. We used to, the headrests were illegal. They wouldn't let you put one in the car.
Wow.
You know what else was illegal was those wink mirrors. You had to have a little stock mirror.
Just don't get a lot of air at this racetrack. You see right here, they've even got a hose blowing in from the right side window, just trying to get as much air as they can in there to the driver.
Jimmy Johnson right on top of Kevin Harvick and looking to lead this race. Johnson has not led yet today.
Not a surprise. It looks like where Jimmy Johnson's strength is on that long green flag run.
Traffic dead ahead.
I've mentioned this a couple of times, and I've talked to some of the guys that work over there on the 48 and some of those cars, and they've been working on their long run setup. They've had fast cars, lots of speed. Felt like they needed cars that were a little bit better over the long haul, and it seems to be working today.
New leader Jimmy Johnson becomes the 8th different driver to lead this race, Steve.
And Mike, his other strength in addition to long green flag runs, he said that car is really hooked up on the bottom of the racetrack.
Here comes Kyle Busch after Harvick. Harvick might be pinned behind a lapped car. Tony Raines up high in the 37. Kyle Busch side by side with Harvick, and Busch takes the spot.
It's like if you get trapped behind a driver that's a lap down or more, I mean, it can absolutely just destroy your rhythm and where you're running.
And that's just part of the aggravation of this place.
Watch the 56 of Truex up off the corner and getting a little taste of Kyle Busch.
That's just a little hello. Do you know I'm back here?
And part of that was Truex got such a much better run off turn 2 than Kurt Busch did in the 22.
When they had chrome bumpers, we used to call that the chrome horn. Not that you could hear a car horn out here.
Not here.
Jimmy Johnson leading Kyle Busch by 1 full second in the Jeff Byrd 500 presented by Food City. Welcome back to NASCAR on Fox. Today's aerial coverage provided by GoDaddy.com. Move all those haulers and imagine a football gridiron in the center of that infield and have this place filled to the rafters. Wow. That might be something to see.
What a place.
Jimmy Johnson out in front of Kyle Busch by 1 second right now. You know, it took Jimmy a long time to find the handle here. In his first 13 starts, he led only 43 laps. Then he dominated until the Busch brothers came along. Kyle Busch stellar here and flawless yesterday. Kevin Harvick sitting in third, 1.7 seconds back. And Casey Kane trying to lap past A.J. Allmendinger. Kane 2.4 off the lead. In the number 4. Martin Truex has led a bunch here today. He's led the most laps so far. But right now he's in 5th, 3 seconds off the leader.
Pole sitter Carl Edwards clawing his way back toward the top 5. Right now back in the 6th position.
And Kurt Busch running in 7th. He's about 4.5 seconds back.
I can't run the top because we're just way too loose on exit. If we could ever get our front ends to turn, we wouldn't have to do it this way. 10 more, man. Just hang in there. We'll keep working on it.
Yeah, that's what the driver wants to hear. I mean, you want to hear the crew chief say, don't worry, we got something. We think we can help you. We think we can fix it. That's part of that being a good salesman thing.
Paul Menard in 8th, 5 seconds back. Menard has led today. First time he's led at Bristol. He's led 35 laps. Juan Pablo Montoya in 9th, 6 seconds from the leader. And good run for Bobby Labonte, who's in 10th.
Kind of interesting because back in the day, if Hammond would have talked to me on the radio, I would come on the radio and say, do not talk to me. I don't have time to talk to you. So we had a code. 1 was no and 2 was yes on the radio. Click it once, that was a no. Click it twice, that was a yes. So I didn't have to spend time talking to him for, I didn't have time. I was trying to get my breath most of the time.
Wow. Riding with Tony Stewart, who is 11th after starting 13th. He's about 7.6 seconds back.
Tony's led over 1,300 laps at this place, but only has that one win.
And Matt Kenseth is 12th. He's 8 seconds from the lead. Second among the Fords in the race. Ryan Newman, who led earlier, Newman 13th. He started 21st. Right behind him, David Reagan. Reagan started 5th. He's been running top 15 just about all day.
I don't know if anyone has worked any harder on a car than Jeff Gordon's team in that 24 car. He has clawed his way back inside the top 15. He's 15th right now.
And right behind him is his teammate, Mark Martin. Krista.
Mike, Larry, Darrell, you mentioned holding your breath. Well, Mark said the demanding part here happens when you have long green flag runs. We're getting close to a 100-lap run. Mark Martin says that's the point in this race where it takes your breath away.
And it really doesn't. You don't realize you're probably entering a corner here at 150 miles an hour. You get down that little short, and when you drive off into that banking, it compresses you down in the seat. It makes it hard for you to breathe. And you get your breath when you come up out of the corner just for that short, brief moment as you shoot down these straightaways. So breathing, I've said it many a time, you got to remember to breathe.
Biffle 17th, Joey Logano 18th. Working past his teammate Denny Hamlin, who's 2 laps down. Now there's Marcus Ambrose 19th and Dale Jr. 20th.
Remember, Dale Earnhardt Jr. went a lap down, got the free pass about 100 laps ago, clawing his way back.
Next comes Trevor Bayne and Clint Boyer. Bayne in 21st position. He had a battle with Regan Smith that went for about 50 laps. Finally settled in favor of Bayne.
Yeah, actually Trevor was doing a pretty good job, and he got into turn 3 just a little too hard up high, scraped the right side of that car up a little bit. Doesn't seem to have hurt it all that much, but I know it did take a little speed out of him.
Our American Ethanol camera on Clint Boyer's car. He is the last car on the lead lap in 22nd place. Car in the free pass position is Regan Smith, the first car 1 lap down. Jimmy Johnson trying to run things his way at Bristol.
Catch the Dominator if you can. To be continued on NASCAR on Fox.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is presented by GoDaddy.com. Domains, website, and everything in between.
234 laps coming up on halfway. What a battle we've been watching. Jimmy Johnson has been trying to lap Clint Bowyer and Trevor Bayne. And that caused a little sense of urgency on Boyer's part. A couple laps ago, he got into Trevor and almost shoved him the length of the front straightaway. Could not pass him. And the leader is still trying to get past those two. So with that, let's go downstairs for an AT&T race break.
Mike with Jeff Hammond, and of course the 20-year-old Tennessee native got a great roar from the crowd introduced here. But on lap 28, he was involved slightly with Jeff Byrd in that wreck, but he's currently running 21st.
I think he's making a really good showing himself. This is a very difficult racetrack right now. He's trying to hold off our leader, Jimmy Johnson, right now. He's running the high side. Jimmy's trying to work the low side. He's going to try to keep him from being able to slide up in front of him. Right now, he's been able to do it.
And at lap 192 is when Jimmy Johnson became the 8th different leader. One more victory in this race, one more career win, and he would tie Lee Petty. It's been a while since a concrete track win. 11 races for Jimmy Johnson, but we know he has good history here.
Yeah, and right now, Jimmy's running, a picture-perfect race. He's just being very methodical. He's not forcing issue. Look at that race car, pretty clean. He's not roughing anybody up. He's showing patience right now, but he's up on that wheel trying to make it happen.
Ahead of Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick. What about Casey Kane running fourth?
All of a sudden, these guys are starting to find their rhythm. Casey qualified 10th, but he worked his way up through the field, and currently, he just looks like he's on a Sunday drive out there, but I've been watching his lap times, and he's been able to reel in those front 2 or 3 cars right there, so he's definitely getting back up there closer in competition, maybe challenge for the lead.
Kurt Busch moving into 5th, Carl Edwards to 6th, and Carl had been moving upward.
Yeah, he had been doing a pretty good job. He'd been changed his line around, been up against the wall, looked like he picked up some speed, and again, a lot like Casey Kane was making his way forward, but just a second ago, Kurt Busch caught him and pretty much, went by him with ease.
And what can we expect with green flag stops expected here soon?
I'll tell you right now, it's going to put a lot of pressure not on these drivers, but on these crew chiefs to make sure their drivers know that, hey, green flag stops, buddy. You come down on either the front stretch if you're on the front side. But our leader, he's put on the back straightaway, so Chad Canals can make sure Jimmy Johnson understands come off the turn 2 to come to the pits.
Man, if you want to get in on the action, text the car number to the number that you think will average the least amount of time on pit road. AT&T, the nation's fastest mobile broadband network. 243 laps and a long way to go here in Bristol, where they once played an NFL preseason game in 1961. But today, it's all about NASCAR.
We're back in Bristol under caution. Jimmy Johnson wins the race off pit road ahead of Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Casey Kane, Carl Edwards, Kurt Busch, and Paul Menard. Let's show you cause and effect at Bristol. You're going to watch the 27 of Paul Menard and the 47 of Bobby Labonte. This is one lap before the caution. They're racing for 9th place. Little bump and run there. Now they're going to come up on Martin Truex. Around goes Labonte.
Yeah, I don't think he did that. I don't think that was intentional, to tell you the truth. I know this. I mean, I know this probably. You know who gets the driver more riled up than anyone? The spotter and the crew chief. Don't let that guy do that to you. And yeah, the crew chief, Larry.
Labonte had been a top 10 car all day. And here comes Tony with Ryan Newman just ahead of him.
Pretty good lick when you see what the damage to the back of the 39 car up there, Ryan Newman.
Now there was a spirited battle for the free pass position, decided in favor of Clint Bowyer over Trevor Bayne. So Bowyer gets back up on the lead lap. Let's recap pit stops, starting with Steve.
Well, Mike, Jimmy Johnson really likes his car. Told Chad Canals it's just a little bit snug, but we're really close on this thing. They were 30 laps away from pitting, so good time to stop. They took 4 tires, no chassis adjustments. Dick Berger and Jimmy Johnson likes his race car.
So does Kevin Harvick. He was a little bit loose on that last run, so they tightened the car up. Interestingly enough, you've heard a lot about fueling strategy. They used 2 different fuel men. Bob Dowens, the front carrier, and Mike Morrison, the main gas man. Matt?
Dick, Kyle Busch will restart from the 2nd position. He had some small issues they wanted to address, some slight changes to try to fix the car, mainly on exit. That was his biggest issue, trying to get some forward bite, Krista.
Tony Stewart, the driver right now, is an apologetic team owner. That's because when the issue happened with Bobby Labonte, Tony got into the back end of his teammate Ryan Newman. He was on the radio saying, "I'm so sorry, I didn't gas it. I just didn't slow down soon enough." They also made what was called a pretty big swing on the changes on that stop.
Thanks, Krista. 21 cars on the lead lap as part of our GoDaddy.com race summary. Jimmy Johnson has been out front for 59 laps today. 8 leaders, 10 lead changes, 5 caution flags for 28 laps. Counting today, in the last 5 races at Bristol, Jimmy has led over 500 laps. His first 13 races here, he only led a total of 43.
We said it earlier, he's finally got his arms around this half-mile racetrack.
A couple drivers took the wave around, Brian Vickers and Tony Raines. We'll get ready for a restart at lap 252. Get your hand on that volume knob, because we're about to crank it up. Darrell, Kyle Busch tried it every which way, but he's no match for Jimmy Johnson on this run.
No, and I'm surprised Jimmy's staying on that high line, because I watched this car before that caution. He could roll the bottoms so much better than anyone else. And I wouldn't like Kyle Busch at my left rear corner like that. One time up out of the corner, Jimmy has to get out of the throttle a little bit or slips a little bit. Kyle's going to be into him, and that's something you got to be thinking about.
And right behind these two, Kyle Busch's brother, Kurt Busch. But I remember early, he seemed to be really good on the short, quick runs. Faded on the long run.
I think that may be the difference even in the 48 and the 18 up there, because the 48 was really, really good after they ran about 15 or 20 laps. So I think that's his big strong suit right there.
Juan Pablo Montoya in the 42. What's the problem there, Steve?
Got a top 10 run, Mike, but it could go away. He's either got a flat tire or a loose right front wheel.
That would be a shame, because he started back in the 36th position and has driven to the top 10 without the aid of a lot of anything helping him.
Oh, they're 3 wide around him.
Yeah, he's in trouble right here.
Kenseth way on the outside, threading the needle. Montoya fighting to get to the bottom of the racetrack.
It's hard
nowhere to go.
It's hard to tell, Mike, but he might have a soft right front.
Yeah, and even if he wanted to get the pit road right now, he can't get there. He's trapped on the high side.
And I think that's why he knows that, and that's why he's trying to maintain as much as he can right here. But he's going to have to give it up.
Ambrose goes to the apron, so does Allmendinger. And now Montoya can get to the bottom, sort out that problem, and see if he needs to stop.
We're going to pit on the backside, Tom.
It's such a dilemma. You're so afraid that you're not sure. And what if I come to pit road and there's nothing wrong? It really puts the driver in a tough spot.
But Mike, you documented it. He's pitting on the back straightaway, so because we're under green, he could enter turn 2. He'll be able to exit at turn 3.
Kyle Busch, one more try into turn 1, packs it in the low groove against Jimmy Johnson. But look at the drive Johnson has off the high side of the corner with 2 degrees more banking and a little wider radius.
Now, this is actually role reversal right here. They were running exactly the opposite lines before that last caution. I'm surprised Jimmy is hanging up to the top the way he is.
Montoya had a loose wheel from that last pit stop. Service complete. He's back out.
2 laps down.
Yeah, you get on pit road here, buddy. You 16 seconds laps. Kyle's going to try something different. He's going to try that diamond thing, cutting it to the bottom, gets a nice run off the bottom. Johnson's got the momentum on the outside.
And here comes Kyle. Takes the lead. Kyle Busch up front. It's the 4th time today that he's led. Crew chief Dave Rogers just asked him on the radio, "How are you?" Kyle says, "I'm hungry." Hungry for the lead?
That's right.
Or maybe some candy. I don't know.
Get some M&Ms. You'll be all right.
Matt?
Mike, when you talk about how drivers find that certain magical setup at a place like DW owned here at Bristol back in the 80s, Kyle Busch goes back to 2008 in the spring race. He lost a seal on the power steering box while leading. He wanted to pit and change it, but Steve Addington, his then crew chief, said, "We'll lose too many laps, probably 100. You're just going to have to soldier on and tough it out." So Kyle just mowed it on lap after lap, and finally Steve said, "You are turning laps."
Car in the wall, turn 2. Excuse me, Matt. Trevor Bayne has hit the wall up in turn number 2. He keeps going. We have no caution. Thought we might get a yellow there, but Bayne, trying to see if he has a tire down or not, stays on track.
These cars they're unbelievably tough. It just amazes me how you can pound these safer barriers with this car and continue on.
Take a look at this, Darrell. See if you want to stop or not.
He just gets up there. He's just riding it. No, that's just a little kiss right there. It wasn't a tank slapper.
Careful, 58. Still inside. Clear down. Clear by 8. Coming inside. Hold your line. Clear by 7. Clear by 6.
Darryl, I want to follow up on what you said. Yeah, I'm amazed how tough the cars are. I'm amazed how tough the drivers are because they just gather it up and go at it again.
Yeah, and when you get up that high, you get that debris and stuff on your tires, and you got to just about stop like he did.
No stopping Kyle Busch. He leads Jimmy Johnson by 0.6 of a second at Bristol.
Who knows how to win at Bristol? Kyle Busch does. Find out if he can do it again on NASCAR on Fox.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing, presented by GoDaddy.com, is sponsored by Coca-Cola. Open a Coke and enjoy the race. By Disney Pixar's new 3D movie Cars 2 in theaters June 24th. This film is not yet rated. And by AT&T. Rethink possible.
Kyle Busch out front of Jimmy Johnson by 0.6 of a second now at 288 laps. Let's go back and revisit our Pizza Hut pick. No anchovies, please. Credit to Hammond for picking Kyle Busch, who hangs on to the lead right now. Larry with the other Busch brother right up there. The fans pick Jeff Gordon, holding on to a top 15 after starting well, but dropping way back in the early going. The fans pick holding in the top 15, a 14th spot.
Jeff Gordon's team, they've done a
guy.
No, not yet.
It was all the way at the bottom there.
There's still time.
Okay.
But Jeff Gordon's team, they've done a phenomenal job of the adjustments they have made on that car, because I mean they've made 1 and 2 and 3 pit stops almost every caution. At one point he was about to go a lap down. Now he's sitting up there in the 14th position.
Greg Biffle trying to move on Gordon and Dale Earnhardt Jr. in this battle for 13th.
And I think that's what we saw with that car in practice, Larry. It wasn't, they didn't have a winning car. Probably had a top 10 car. And Jeff will bring it home. Get the best finish out of it he possibly can.
A couple drivers who've had trouble today out of the race. Robbie Gordon crashed. J.J. Yaley, Joe Nemechek, Landon Castle, Michael McDowell lost an engine. And the fellow who brought out the last caution, Bobby Labonte, with that spin, stayed on the lead lap. And they're baking the beans in 8th place right now.
That's where he was running when he spun, but I think the replay showed that he really never stopped. He made a 360 and kept going. Maybe only lost 1 or 2 spots when he did spin.
Well, Frankie Kerr and Marco Sambros had some good runs in that 47 car here, and they're backing it up today with Bobby Labonte.
Biffle trying to take 14th from Jeff Gordon. After starting outside pole, Biffle is the second Ford in the race. Carl Edwards in 6th.
Larry, I think we said earlier, I think you may have, it seemed like those guys that were really fast, some of the Ford's guys that were really fast, little contact right there going down the back straightaway. When they went to the different tire, it seemed like Carl Edwards and Biffle, Kenseth a little bit, they just didn't find the speed back in the tire once they made the tire change.
There's Kenseth right with that pack in 16th. Now just ahead of this group, Dale Earnhardt Jr. has caught Martin Truex, who led 63 laps earlier. What's up there, Matt?
Mike, Martin Truex simply said, we have killed the handling of the race car. The reason being, back on lap 248 when they pitted, they found a small puncture in his right front tire, which explains why the car had lost its handle on the previous run and gotten so loose, was barely able to hang on to it. So right now he's soldiering on. Just lost another spot waiting for the next caution.
I think 2 other things has happened, Matt. I think, one, this is a concrete surface. And if you look at this concrete surface, look how black it is. The rubber is really laying down on this racetrack. I think that has changed the way a lot of these drivers are getting around this half-mile racetrack. Plus, it's become very cloudy over the last 50 or 60 laps. It's really cooled down. I think that's changed some handling characteristics.
Some of that, what you're talking about, Larry, is rubber buildup. And the track, I don't know of any other way to put it than it becomes fluffy. And this is what I'm talking about right here. And that stuff builds up in the groove, and you start slipping across it like little speed bumps. Bump, 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 bump. And the guy that's got the right package for late in this race is going to be the guy to beat.
There's a good look at the surface from our front bumper cam on Tony Stewart, who sits in 11th, 10 seconds off the lead. Kyle Busch and Jimmy Johnson in last year's 1,000 laps of Bristol, the spring and the summer race together, they combined to lead more than 500 of them.
You know, Mike, while we're on the subject of laps led, Kyle Busch is only 25 years old. Of course, we know he races a lot in all the top 3 series. Entering today in the top 3 series of NASCAR, he has led 19,346 laps.
I think that tells me one thing. He's not happy if he's not leading.
I think when we interview him and he's not won, I think he pretty much shows that.
Thoroughly dominated yesterday's race. He's in front of Jimmy Johnson now by 1 second, and in front of his older brother Kurt by 2. $185 laps to go in Thunder Valley. Kyle Busch leading Jimmy Johnson, Kurt Busch, Casey Kane, Kevin Harvick, then Carl Edwards, Mark Martin, Paul Menard, Bobby Labonte, and Ryan Newman. How loud is it on pit road? Oh, just about as loud as your average rock concert or jet taking off. Just below the point at which hearing damage occurs. Why fans wear big headsets and listen in on their favorite drivers when they come to the races.
And why crew chiefs and guys in the pits pass notes around and use chalkboards, and you just can't communicate here, and that's another part of the Bristol aggravation.
Yeah, I know leaving here even after wearing a headset, your ears will ring for about a week.
Clint Boyer got the free pass on the last caution. He's about to get lapped by the leader Kyle Busch, trying to fight him off. And here comes Jimmy Johnson back after the leader, and they get close together as the leader's in traffic. Let's check with Steve.
And Mike, Kurt Busch is getting a little help right now. He said tighten up the back of my car. They made a track bar adjustment, but also we've got a little bit of overcast weather here now, and it's getting a little bit cooler. That's helped Kurt Busch as well.
Yeah, but there's a big log jam, Steve, right in front of the leader, desperately trying to stay on the lead lap. The 9 of Ambrose, the 6 of Reagan, and the 33 of Boyer. And right behind, here come the leaders.
Don't want to be desperate at Bristol now. You got to take your time here.
Time may run out for these 3. As here comes Kyle on the bottom.
Well, they're fighting to stay on the lead lap. They're also fighting each other in case Kyle Busch in the 18 gets by him to be the first car lap down. Not too far in front of this battle, a man that led 63 laps, Martin Truex Jr. in that 56 car, just in front of these cars.
And sort of between a rock and a hard place.
Yep.
You know, man, I'm in a tight place. I got to get by these guys, but I don't want to wreck one of them or wreck myself trying to do it.
And Jimmy Johnson, instead of taking an opportunity to maybe pounce on Kyle Busch, he's decided just to sit back and let's let this single file it a little bit and everybody get through here cleanly. As now Kyle has gotten through 2 of those cars that are now lapped, Reagan and Boyer. Here comes Johnson in the 48.
Well, when you can run the bottom like the 18 can of Kyle Busch and the 48 of Jimmy Johnson, when you can hang that bottom, you can pass a lot of guys. Did you hear that engine noise? That's the concrete. That's the car, the engine trying to break the rear tires loose. That's what you deal with all day long.
Ambrose goes after Truex and makes the pass for 17th. And here comes Kyle Busch underneath.
See Jamie McMurray in the 1 car. Jamie right now is 2 laps down back in the 26th position. Had some problems earlier.
And this is a display of being aggressive, but controlling it. You just can't just go up there and knock somebody out of your way just to get it because they're holding you up. Got to think big picture.
Jimmy Johnson playing a little wake-up call on the left rear corner of Clint Boyer and now moves past him, not wanting to let that leader get away.
See, you got to have the theory. I think I don't want to race people. I don't want to get wrecked by someone that can't beat me. I don't want to beat myself, and I don't want to race with somebody that can't beat me.
Now Kyle Busch is going to put Marcos a lap down as he leads Jimmy Johnson by half a second with 171 laps to go.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox, presented by GoDaddy.com, is delivered by Pizza Hut. Don't wait for the last lap. Order now to get your favorite pizzas at low prices.
That's the way it looked in 1966. That little building atop the grandstand, that was radio, officials tower, and the one VIP suite. They had about 20, 30,000 seats. Everybody else sat on the hillside on the backstretch. My, how times change. For the lead, Jimmy Johnson goes after Kyle Busch and gets him. Kyle had gotten alongside Marcos Ambrose as we went to break, but Marcos never let Kyle pass and held him off until finally Jimmy Johnson took the lead away.
I'm not so sure that Kyle didn't have a problem. I'm not so sure that all that running, trying to get around Marcos Ambrose in that 9 car has not used up his tire maybe a little bit on the right front, because car got a little crazy acting.
Here's how it happened. Kyle kept going underneath Ambrose, unable to clear him. Ambrose got a good drive off the corner, and Johnson just followed suit.
Or else he said, look, I can't get around him. You go up there and try it.
Guys, if we stay green, we're about 30 to 35 laps when what possibly could be the last pit stop of the day.
Green flag stops. Caution out. There you go.
Debris on the racetrack. In turn 2 puts us under the caution flag for the 6th time today. At lap 344.
And as annoyed as you get at Marcos Ambrose in the 9 car, racing the leaders, trying to stay on the lead lap, that's what you hope for right there. That's a perfect scenario for him.
That's what you should do.
And let's be fair, Darrell. When you see the move over flag, you need to move over and give the leader a lane. He did. He did nothing wrong. He didn't rough up the leader. He hung on, and now he'll stay on the lead lap.
See there, he gave him a high sign in the pits over there. They said, that a boy, Marcos, way to drive, way to hang tough. That was a good job on his part.
Ambrose is the 17th and last car on the lead lap. Now Martin Truex will be the beneficiary of the free pass, and he'll get back on the lead lap via this caution.
Now, a lot of crew chiefs would say to the driver, if you can run that good, how come we got a lap down in the first place?
155 laps to go. Maybe they can make it from here. We'll see. But everybody should come to pit road. Nobody has been there for the last 100 laps or so. Dick Berggren.
Well, Kevin Harvick has been running in the top 5 for the majority of this event, Mike. They're going to put 4 tires on the car and go with the jack, meaning they're not going to wait to get all the fuel in the 29. Steve Burns.
Jimmy Johnson hits his marks perfectly, saying his car is a little free in, a little free off, and snug in the center. They make a chassis adjustment. TJ Ford, the jack man, gets the left side up. Left side tires going on, Krista.
Mark Martin all day has been close. He said he just needs a little bit more rotation. He describes it as needing just a whisker. He said, let's make the same adjustment we made the last run. Very happy. Matt?
Kyle Busch asked how many green flag laps that was, and if they are good to go to the finish. Dave Rogers told him we will probably have to stop at least one more time. So they're going to try to go with the same setup as the previous run because Kyle loved it at the beginning of the run.
Jimmy Johnson shooting down pit road at the mandated speed, and he's going to beat Kyle Busch to the line.
Just barely, but he did beat him.
Carl Edwards out third. Kurt Busch, Casey Kane, Kevin Harvick.
That pit selection that Carl Edwards got by sitting on the pole, that made a huge difference for him.
153 laps to go. Time for an AT&T race break.
All right, Mike, and Kyle Busch, Jimmy Johnson tied for leading the most laps. And when you look back, the leader of the most laps has failed to win 8 of the last 10 Bristol races. So let's give you a quick recap of what's gone on here at Bristol Motor Speedway. And again, in 1961, Redskins-Eagles played an NFL preseason game. A crowd of about 130,000 enjoying this lap 28. Jeff Byrd triggers 7 drivers involved and damage to Brad Keselowski. What are they doing here?
Yeah, pulling brake ducts out of the way right there. All the front nose been tore off, and they had to pretty much pull that clean out of the way.
And it caused problems for him. He brings out the 3rd caution, spinning on lap 140. And then, you know, you talk about Menard, Labonte, contact between 2 drivers.
Yeah, you see right there, Paul Menard gets in the back of Bobby Labonte. Bobby does a really nice job, spins all the way around, loses 3 or 4 position, and keeps on going.
6 different leaders in the first 100 laps. The second 100 laps dominated by Martin Truex Jr. as he led 63 laps. And then in the final 100, or up until 300, it was Jimmy Johnson leading. And now you got a Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, and these guys have dominated this track in the last few years.
And this is pretty much going to set, I think, the stage for who wants it the worst, because these two guys are really good here. And to me, we're going to see who's going to start pushing and shoving. Somebody's going to start beating and banging. We're going to see a lot more of that over the final, basically 150 laps we got to go here. So I'm going to be interested to see who's going to wind up coming out on top.
And their pit crews will be on the clock as well. Let's take a look at the current standings for the fastest pit crew and how the fans voted. AT&T customers, you can find out the final standings when the checkered flag drops by texting your crew and that choice replying OK when prompted to receive exclusive updates. AT&T, the nation's fastest mobile broadband network.
And right now, Kevin Harvick's crew, they were first now, followed by Juan Pablo Montoya.
And let's head back upstairs for the restart.
It'll be 150 laps to go, Larry. About 10 too far?
Yeah, I don't think they can make it for here. We're probably not done with cautions, I'd say.
Crew chief, I don't think I can make it. If there's somebody that can.
Oh, yeah, but I think we'll have plenty more cautions.
Oh, I'm sure you're right.
Jimmy Johnson outside of Kyle Busch. They have been the two prime contenders all day. Green flag for the restart with Carl Edwards, Kurt Busch, Casey Kane, Kevin Harvick, Mark Martin, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Greg Biffle, and Paul Menard, the top 10.
Think of this as we're in round 8 now, folks. 150 to go.
Still got your legs under you?
Still got. Haven't taken too many hits to the body so far.
All right. Kurt Busch around the outside. It's the Kurt and Kyle show for second place.
Man, look at that. Look at Kurt come off of turn 2. Holy smoly. Where's he going?
Turns it to the bottom. Don't think he can get the run, though, Jimmy Johnson in that 48.
And there's Carl Edwards all of a sudden. He's back in the hunt.
Well, Carl's team had a great pit stop that time for him.
Look at that lineup, that front four. Chevy, Ford, Toyota, or Chevy, Dodge, Toyota, and Ford. All 4 makes in the front 4. Then Harvick, Chevy, and Kane's Toyota.
Carl Edwards in the 99. He's working the bottom of the racetrack. Just can't get the drive off the corner.
You know what I hear, boys?
Dale Jr. just slipped back about 4 spots. Couldn't hold that high groove. And dropping back out of the top 10 in the 88.
I think I hear that volcano about to erupt that Jeff Hamlin was talking about in the pre-race.
Feel the ground rumbling a little bit, do you?
Well, Carl Edwards has tried it and tried it on the bottom. But the car's on the high groove. They're getting a better jump. And now Kyle drops to the bottom. Looking over his older brother.
Yeah, Kyle was
second.
Kyle and Jimmy Johnson and Kyle both had really good cars that could roll in the center of the corner right down on the black down there, but I don't know if the track may have changed some since they were able to do that.
Sixth place Casey Kane, part of this mix. Dick?
Well, they're concerned about a possible tire going down on the right front of Casey Kane's car. They're not sure, but they are cautious about it.
Casey was the runner-up in yesterday's race, and last week on the off weekend won the truck race at Darlington, driving a truck owned by Kyle Busch.
Right now, Casey Kane has his hand full of Mark Martin in that 5. Chris DeVota's been keeping us updated on Mark Martin. Mark Martin knows how to get to the end of this race. His last 29 Bristol races, only 1 DNF.
He's been doing a little rope-a-dope. Been laying there.
I thought it was a rock on a rope.
No, that's his 48 car up here. He's a rock on a rope.
Jimmy Johnson by a second. There's the margin. Back to Kurt and Kyle Busch, Harvick and Edwards. 140 laps to go. You're watching NASCAR on Fox, presented by GoDaddy.com. Second inside look at what's happening now in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by Sprint and HTC Evo 4G. Fastest lap of the race remains Paul Menard, 15.83 seconds. And the driver who's led the most laps today, Jimmy Johnson, 4 times for what is now 107 laps. Fuel your inner NASCAR fan with live in-car audio and real-time stats on NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile and the new HTC Evo 4G. Available at sprint.com/speed. Jimmy's lead 1.4 seconds over Kyle Busch.
Mike, now that's what a Bristol car is supposed to look like. Flapping in the wind.
Have at it, Brad, written across the spoiler.
He's not the only fellow who's had a tough day. Denny Hamlin's been in and out of the pits. Casey Mears, electrical problems, several stops. Brian Vickers fixing crash damage. And Dennis Setzer, who is driving for Brian Keselowski. Keselowski recovering from gallbladder surgery. Will miss the next couple of races. They're all more than 10 laps down.
And that's the thing about this joint. I mean, you can hardly ever kill your car. I mean, occasionally you will, but most time you can patch her back up and get back out there and run some more.
We got 38 of the 43 drivers that started this race still out on the racetrack. There, you've been flying these fighter planes in this gymnasium now for about 375 laps. 125 to go, buddy.
Yep, this is when my head starts hurting, my back starts hurting, I'm starting to cramp up in my legs a little bit. This is when I need you, my friend.
We're in it together.
To remind me.
Well, that's it, Darrell. You start this race with so much adrenaline at this stage in the race. How do you get that back and get up and stay up on the wheel?
I always think about, and Larry may remember this, when Dale and Terry Labonte had that, when Dale spun Terry out over there, rattled his cage.
Right.
Terry came in and got 4 tires, and Dale wanted to come with him. And what did they tell him that day, Larry? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Said, Dale, you are a 7-time champion. You can win this race. Sometimes you just got to get on that old ego and work on them.
And he figured out how to do that.
Yeah.
Even without fresh tires.
So he saved track position instead of getting tires.
He won that race.
Yes, he did. Let's take everybody inside this washing machine as they roll around here at 16.5-second laps, and we crank it up.
You notice anything about this shot, Larry? I mean, other than it looks like his car's handling really, really well. The left leg, his left foot, never moves. He's not using any brake. He's rolling that car off into the corner, letting it glide in there. No brake.
That definitely lets that car work a lot better.
Now, what do you notice about this guy? What do you notice about Dale Jr.'s car here on the right? Look at the size of that steering wheel, Larry. And you know where he got that from? I heard him talking about it yesterday. Danica. She uses a small, like an IndyCar type steering wheel. And I'm not saying he's got his wheel from her, but that's the kind of steering wheel that she was using. I think he's trying it.
Here's the fella I think is the hardest driving son of a gun today. We saw Marcus Ambrose hold off Kyle Busch and Jimmy Johnson to stay on the lead lap, and he just keeps on digging. He's 16th. He spent the weekend off digging and panning for gold. That's a hobby of his, and he's pretty good at it.
Let me tell you something else. If he ate any of that stuff he gave me the other night, that Vegemite, he's going to drive hard, I can tell you that.
Fourth place, Kurt Busch ahead of Carl Edwards.
These two have been going at it for a number of laps for this fourth place. Kevin Harvick in the 29 got by him about 20 laps ago, and they've been after it for this fourth position.
Jimmy Johnson, who has averaged a win 1 win every 6 starts. Well, it's been 12 races since his last one. He leads Kyle by a second. 100 laps to go in Thunder Valley. Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick. Carl Edwards, Kurt Busch, 18 cars on the lead lap. Next Sunday, we go California Dreamin', beginning at 2:30 Eastern with a 400-mile race on Fox. In 2 weeks, back to the short tracks, Martinsville, Virginia, and in 3 weeks, coverage from Texas. That's a night race out in the Lone Star State, Saturday night, April 9th. All ahead on NASCAR on Fox. Jimmy J, half a second ahead of Kyle Busch. He's led 138 laps. 50 more than anybody else today.
Just went around that 56 car, and that was the class of the field when the race started. Tells you how much this track will change on you.
Kyle Busch in second, dominated yesterday. He's led a lot today. Kevin Harvick in third, Dick.
And if this race goes all the way to the end, Kevin Harvick will not make it. He's going to have to stop for gas. Matt.
Carl Edwards much better on the forward bite. He said about lap 260 he had a bad vibration, but it appears to be gone.
Kurt Busch and Greg Biffle fighting back and forth for fifth.
And Greg Biffle in the 16, remember, sat on the outside of the front row, fell almost outside the top 15. Steve Burns, he can use a run like this. His best finish so far, 20th.
Yeah, remember Larry Mack early in this race, he said they were plowing like a dump truck, then they were a little bit on the tight side, and now they're just a little bit free, so they've gotten the car a lot better.
Biffle is coming toward the front. Up to fifth ahead of Kurt Busch. There's Kurt in the double deuce, who may be surrendering that sixth place to the 4 of Casey Kane.
He doesn't seem to be very good on the long run. Seems to get up there and challenge quite a bit on the early go, but when he gets into the long run, he fades.
Kane working his way back up through the top 10. Right behind him is Mark Martin, Krista.
Well, a lot of the teams made adjustments to free their cars up, but Mark's car has been free all day, so they made the adjustment, the same one, the air pressure they made all day. Now with the cloud cover, Mark's a little bit afraid that he needs that air pressure put back. Right now, he's kind of second-guessing that adjustment.
Ninth will be Ryan Newman. Newman led 26 laps earlier today. And 10th, Paul Menard, who led 35 laps in the early going.
Had a great car all day long, just been hanging around the top 10, keeping his nose clean, doing a really nice job, Paul Menard.
Nice save from a spin for Bobby Labonte. He continues to challenge.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88 back there in the 12th position. Remember, he got the free pass back on lap 131, working on, this would be his third consecutive top 10 finish of this year if he can get there.
Matt Kenseth in 13th. Started 11th. He's been in the top 15 most all day. And Joey Logano up 4 positions from where he started.
And there was talk on the radio. Joey Logano thought he had something going sour with the engine early in the race, but he's been holding right inside the top 15.
Catch up on your Pizza Hut fan favorite today. It is Jeff Gordon. To vote for next week's favorite, go to foxsports.com/Pizza Hut. Gordon in 15.
Yeah, Gordon's running about where I think he probably expected to run. He was hoping to be a top 10 car. That car just hadn't been there for him this weekend.
Marcus Ambrose with one of the tough it out drives of the day. He stayed on the lead lap all day, and that has not been easy. He's the 16th place car.
It's that Vegemite. Telling you, you eat that, you're tough.
And Tony Stewart, who many expected a challenge for the win here today, has been a lead lap car. Runs in 17th.
We've been hearing all these reports about no driver feels like they can make it to the end without stopping for fuel. If you look at the last 5 Bristol races in the spring, average caution, 15 to go, 3 times in the last 5 laps.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox, presented by GoDaddy.com, is sponsored by UPS. Let UPS put the power of logistics to work for you.
76 laps to go at Bristol, Tennessee. Jimmy Johnson leading Kyle Busch by 1.2 seconds. A little bit ago, Jimmy got a little impatient with Trevor Bayne while lapping the 21 because Bayne passed him back.
Yeah, I'm not real sure why Jimmy would get irritated with the young man there. There's nobody pressuring Jimmy right now, and Trevor just got up there and passed him. I don't know if I'd have done that or not. What do you think?
Well, here's the deal. 425 laps, all the wires are starting to spark in all those race cars.
Whoa. Good point.
Bain now 3 laps down. Tony Stewart has gone a lap down. He's in the free pass position, but Jimmy keeps picking him up and putting him down. Caution is out. David Gilliland, who's had a tremendous run here today.
Yes, sir.
Looks like he got up and into the wall and has brought out the caution flag for the 7th time at lap 428.
This will bring all the drivers to pit road, and this is where you better have no mistakes like what Montoya had, that 42 car not that long ago with a loose wheel or anything.
All that pencil lead devoted to strategy over the last 20 minutes, and now all for naught because everyone can make it from here.
Yes, sir.
I told you.
You said there'd be more cautions.
No, well,
you were right.
I loved it when Kyle Busch said at Daytona, when they were talking about how long you could run behind someone, he said, I told you it doesn't make any difference because we're going to have a green-white check.
Tony Stewart will be the free pass car as the caution is out for Gilliland. 70 laps to go. And this could, would, maybe should be the final pit stop of the day. Dick?
Well, unless they need tires for some reason, Mike, it certainly would be the final pit stop, at least for Kevin Harvick, who right now is running in the 3rd position, comes to the attention of his crew for 4 tires, Steve.
Jack Canal says, nice and easy, fellas, nice and easy. Jimmy said he's lost a little bit of grip, but 4 tires, no other adjustments for Jimmy Johnson, Krista.
Mark Martin told his crew, I want the feeling I had the run prior to last. So that's why they're going to go back on that air pressure adjustment. The whole crew agreed, including crew chief Lance McGrew. He told Mark, let's do it. Matt?
Kyle Busch said, if you're going off the run of 2 times ago, I don't want any changes. Off the last set of tires, we need a little help through the center. Dave Rogers going to go down with air pressure, all 4 tires for Busch, as he's trying for a 5th Bristol victory. Oh, Jeff Gordon, almost, he misses his pit stall almost, comes sliding to a stop.
Here comes Biffle. Kyle Busch is going to beat them all out. Carl Edwards 2nd, Biffle 3rd, Jimmy Johnson, Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, those guys pitting over on the back. I know the 48 car, he was slow, really slow.
That Greg Biffle's team gained 4 spots up to 3rd.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox, presented by GoDaddy.com, is sponsored by Sprint, proud sponsor of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, by Viagra, and by GoDaddy.com domains, websites, and everything in between.
A beautiful look at Bristol Motor Speedway and Dragway from today's aerial coverage provided by GoDaddy.com. Over 100,000 people here, not a capacity crowd, but a very strong crowd indeed. Here's your GoDaddy.com race summary. Kyle Busch is your leader. 17 cars on the lead lap. 15 lead changes among 8 different leaders. We're working the 7th caution of the day. 6 cars behind the wall. Now Jimmy Johnson pulls out of his pit stall here alongside Kevin Harvick, shoots past him, and Greg Biffle. Biffle edges ahead. The question would be, where are all those timing lines? Kevin Harvick wanted to know.
Obviously, there's no speed lines on the pit road here. 48 passed me, cleared me by 2 cars. Yeah, 10-4, we're sitting here watching it. I mean, he just flew by.
Well, apparently they did it within 1 segment and then got their speed back to where it was legal. One driver who did not is Dale Earnhardt Jr. Too fast between the entrance of pit road on turn 2 and his pit just past the start-finish line on the front stretch. So Junior will restart 17th, but at the tail end of the longest line.
Well, there are gaps, obviously, between those scoring lines. And, you know, it's what you are when you get to that line.
Kurt Busch lost 8 spots on that pit stop, dropped from 6th to 14th. So we restart with Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards, Biffle and Johnson, Harvick and Kane, Martin, Menard, Newman and Kenseth, the top 10. 17 cars on the lead lap, green flag with 65 to go.
We are now in the 10th round. Boy,
oh, around goes the 29 of Harvick. He saves it.
It's all behind
loses
him.
it.
All
and they
behind
all pile up behind him. Trevor Bayne and Montoya, and a big crash as Boyer slams into a stop Jamie McMurray.
That all started when Casey Kane in the 4 got loose off 2 and just log jammed them up.
Yep.
It's going to be written on a plaque here someday. Darrell Waltrip. Cautions breed cautions.
Sure, it always seems that way. That's a lot of damage. Serious damage there.
So from the aerial camera, watch the 4 of Casey Kane entering the corner here.
Yeah, there he is right here. This is Casey coming off the corner over here. Let's see if he gets it. Pushes out. Looks like he thinks he's going to get the wall. He gets out of the throttle. Mark Martin in the 5 gets into the back of Harvick's 29 car. Everything looks pretty good right here. It looks like everything's going to be fine. But then all of a sudden, these guys that are coming up on this mess, on Harvick down there on the bottom, they start trying to check up, and then they all get into it. The 42 of Montoya, the 21 of Bayne, they got a lot of damage.
Still there. Watch the 4. Watch them. All right, come on through. You're good. It's still good. Still good. I got a wrecker behind you. Caution's out. Caution's out.
Watch it again from this angle. You see the 4 car there, Casey Kane. He just all of a sudden has to get out of the gas because he thinks he's going to hit the wall. Harvick has to avoid him in the 29. Mark Martin in the 5 gets in the back of 29. And then these cats all back in here, they're just all trying to get woed up, but they run over each other.
Just happened so quick here. Kevin Harvick went the half the distance of the back straightaway and almost saved it till he got to turn 3.
But now watch the 33 of Boyer come flying in here after it's almost over. We don't see it in this replay. Now you can ride with Harvick.
Oh, hang on to it. Hang on to it. Hang on to it. Hang on to it. All right, try and get going as best you can there. Hold the brake. Hold the brake. Hold the brake. All right, go, 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 go.
That was a nice save by Harvick, but bad luck for the cars behind him. Now, watch for Boyer coming in here after this all starts. Everybody blowing up here. Almost everybody.
Yeah. Where did Boyer come from?
Yeah. Well, let's ride with him through this.
Follow his crash ahead of you. Check up, check up, check up. Slow down, slow down. Stop, stop, stop. Get low. Come on, come on, come on, come on. We're good, we're good.
Snake his way through there.
And Trevor Bayne got a big piece of it. Too big.
Yeah, this is what, Trevor was trying to avoid. He just wanted to have a solid race. He's running a pretty good race today. He gets into the back of Montoya right here big time. This Montoya up off the ground.
Dick Berggren in Harvick's pit.
Oh, man, a lot of damage to the back of Harvick's car. The back bumper has been knocked off, or at least a piece of it. The left rear fender was into the left rear tire. They're going to have to bring him back in again and do some more work on this car to get it right for the finish of the race. He had been running 3rd.
We're told Mark Martin may have a right front going down and may have to pit. 59 laps to go in the Jeff Byrd 500 presented by Food City. Calamity.
It's not only going down, it's coming apart, it looks like.
Coming apart at the seams. This whole race is.
A lot of damage to Boyer's car. Only one of the Richard Childress Racing cars has not had an issue today. Paul Menard.
Man, it hadn't really had any issues this year so far.
Right.
Up there in the top 10 in points for Richard Childress Racing.
.58 laps to go here. Next week, 400 miles in Fontana, California.
What danger lurks around the next turn?
California dreaming next Sunday with NASCAR on Fox. 3 wide racing. 4 abreast, 5 wide, 6 wide.
Boys from California can't get it done.
Jimmy Johnson has been golden in the Golden State.
Don't miss what happens next on NASCAR on Fox.
I think that's going to be a much better race at 400 miles. It's going to be fun.
All the gold is in California for somebody.
All right.
Mark Martin in that 5 did make it to pit road. The brake duct hose hanging
I
through
don't
the
think
front bumper.
I've never seen a brake duct hose stick through the front bumper.
A tough break for Mark because Harvick had to check up, because Casey Kane had to check up, and there was Mark Martin with no time to check up.
Yeah, one car gets loose off of turn 2, one driver, and the next thing you know, 6, 7 cars are involved.
They better hurry because we're getting ready to restart. Kyle Busch and Carl Edwards again. Jimmy Johnson now on the inside with Greg Biffle. Kane and Menard. Newman and Kenseth, Kurt Busch and Logano. Those are the top 10. Nice recovery during that brief run for Kurt Busch, who restarted 14th. He's up to 9th.
I'd say keep an eye on that 16 car on the outside, Greg Biffle. That man's hungry right now.
I tell you, the front of our field sure did. Not the first 2 or 3 spots, but the front of our field sure did change over these last 25, 30 laps.
56 laps to go. We're back under green.
I'm not real sure we've mentioned Joey Logano very often today at all, and he's running in a nice spot right now.
And I'm not sure there's a mark on that car.
It's pretty clean at this point. I wouldn't say that just yet.
Greg Biffle on the outside. Here comes Jimmy on the inside. So it's Kyle Busch's Toyota trying to hold off the Fords of Edwards and Biffle and the Chevrolets of Johnson and Menard.
Greg Biffle got a great run through 1 and 2, but almost like Casey Kane had to check up on the exit of 2. Here comes Johnson in the 48 fighting on the bottom.
I think this little bit of fighting going on is pretty good news for the 18 car there, Kyle Busch. If he can keep these guys bottled up behind him.
Darrell, there's such an immediacy here right after these restarts to get everything you can get as quick as you can get it.
You got the fresh tires. That's when you got maximum grip. So you've got to make all the moves you think you can make and get away with right now.
Nice recovery for Dale Jr. up to 12th after restarting the last green flag. 17th into the longest line.
Riding with Dale Earnhardt Jr. looking out the front bumper at his teammate Jeff Gordon back up in the 11th spot in that 24 car.
Trouble right here, turn 4.
Travis Quapple around, and he brings out the caution flag. That's the 9th one today.
Yes, sir.
What is it you said?
These cautions seem to breed other cautions.
Sorry, that's not funny to Travis Quapple. Lap 450, caution flag number 9. Mark Martin was right behind Quapple when it happened. We'll have his view as we go to break. We're back under yellow in Bristol.
Tennessee, Tennessee, there ain't no place I'd rather be. Baby, won't you carry me back to Tennessee?
Pretty part of the country, and yeah, there's a great racetrack here too. Bristol, Virginia, and Tennessee, where State Street runs right down the middle. Virginia on one side, Tennessee on the other. It was Mark Martin who ran right down the back bumper of Travis Quapple to bring out this caution flag, the 9th one of the day. Free pass goes to David Reagan, so we will restart with 19 cars on the lead lap.
You want to know real quickly at home what these guys have been dealing with for 455 laps. Take your TV set and crank it up there. Turn it up on about a 33-degree angle. And that's what these guys deal with lap after lap after lap, that kind of banking.
Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards on the front row. Biffle and Johnson, Menard and Kenseth, Kane with Newman, Kurt Busch and Logano the top 10. Then Earnhardt, Harvick, Bobby Labonte, Jeff Gordon, Ambrose, Stewart, and Martin the lead lap cars with Truex.
Just scoot off that outside off the turn 2. And not a whole lot you can do when you're pinned down on the bottom.
43 laps to go. It's a short track shootout now. Smoker, Clint Boyer.
Boyer's up and it's blown up.
Inside.
Caution is out.
Heck, I know caution breed caution, but this is ridiculous.
Makes you wonder, Darrell, in that wreck a while ago, if maybe they killed a radiator or an oil cooler or something, and that's cooked that engine.
Yeah, I think you're right.
They'll go straight to the garage area.
And the concern is whether there's oil or water in turn 2 and down the back straightaway. That caution flag benefits Brad Keselowski. He'll get back on the lead lap after spending almost the entire day one lap down. "42 laps to go. Who will prevail at Bristol?" You're watching NASCAR on Fox, presented by GoDaddy.com.
That's your leaderboard. 39 laps to go. Chris Myers, Jeff Hamilton, the gang, and Carl Edwards during the caution on the radio transmission. It sounded like this.
Who's had the fastest car here, the 48?
The 18's been as strong as the 48, if not stronger at some points in the race. 48's been stronger others, you know. Maybe you work a little magic here and show that you are.
I'm about to.
All right, so Kyle Busch, there's history in 2008 here between these two, where Kyle had some payback with Carl, and this year a little dust-up, but they say they're on friendly terms.
I think they're on friendly terms, but right now this is Bristol. Whenever you get down to this close to the end, nobody's really friends, and you better look out who's right beside you. In this case, it's the 18.
Darrell told us in the pre-race, nice guys don't win here, aggressive guys do. Mike?
38 to go. 37 when they come to the stripe. Carl Edwards on the inside, Kyle Busch the outside. Right behind them, Jimmy Johnson, Greg Biffle, Matt Kenseth, Paul Menard. 19 lead lap cars. Green flag.
Carl Edwards in that 99, he was on his game on that restart, but Kyle Busch in the 18 just gets that run on the high side down the front stretch.
Kenseth and Menard coming into the picture as well.
I tell you, that Menard car back there in 5th place, he is bad fast. If he can clear some of this traffic, he could be a factor.
Paul Menard led 35 laps early on. Edwards trying the bottom for the lead.
I guarantee you right now, Carl Edwards got those elbows up in the air, up on the wheel.
Behind him, Jimmy Johnson cruising the high line. And Edwards packs it in.
Matter of fact, I just saw that left one sticking out the window, headed up so high.
Just can't quite get enough bite off the corner up there. Jimmy Johnson in the 48 behind him getting real high in 1 and 2 that time.
But Larry, he carried that thing in there big time. That's where Jimmy is really making up a lot of time entering the corner. This is going to get dicey, real dicey. When the 48 gets in there and puts pressure on Carl in the 99, he's going to have to make a move on the 18. He's going to try the outside now.
They are pulling away from the next 3 cars. Biffle, Kenseth, and Menard. 32 to go. There are the 2 battles for 1st and for 4th.
Boy, I tell you, sticking that nose underneath of the 18 like that, one little slip.
Looks Looks like Edwards wins on corner entry and Busch on corner exit.
Well, Carl tried to go to the high side. That didn't work out too good for him. He lost ground. Carl's best bet, he's going to have to muscle his way, and I mean that, around the 18 if he's going to pass him. And he better not let him get away from him. Whoa, Kyle got loose off of turn 2 that time.
Darrell, is it a little too early for the old Bristol bump and run?
Oh, yeah, you don't want to do it until, you don't want to give the guy a chance to come back on you. But I do feel that may take place.
And Jimmy Johnson in that 48 just sitting back there waiting. You guys go ahead and get at it. I'm sitting back here just waiting.
Plenty of time. 27 laps to go. Fourth place for the moment decided in favor of Kenseth, with Menard fifth, Biffle sixth, and Kurt Busch. Edwards is there. He will lead this lap from the inside.
But Kyle Busch a fight back on the outside, but he can't quite clear the 99. Watch Carl Edwards in the 99 going down in the 3 this time.
Folks, these are 3 of the best drivers in the sport right now. 3 of the hottest.
The difference this time, Kyle Busch got back to the throttle first.
Right now, Carl, I think he's just trying to say, okay, I got to keep my cool. I don't want to mess up. I don't want to get into him yet.
He got pretty loose off turn 4 that time. Jimmy Johnson in that 48 right there, about a half a car length behind him.
One thing about the 48 car that I've noticed all day long, the longer we go, if we should go to the end here under green, I believe that 48 car might be a skosh better than these 2 guys. Right now, one thing I notice about Kyle, he never looks back, and he never uses any brake. That's why he's so nice and free getting into the corner. He's late. He stays off the brake. You never see his eyes looking to the back. He's looking straight ahead. He's focusing on what he has to do. Doesn't worry about Carl Edwards.
Darrell, there was a time when you'd sit in second place, cool your tires and your brakes, and wait and then make another run. Are those days over?
I think they are. I believe these tires are not that forgiving anymore. I mean, you got so much goody in them, and if you abuse them, they're going to go away on you.
20 laps to go this time.
And a driver knows, that's one thing about Carl right now. He says, okay, that's all I got. So now he's going to have to figure out how I got to stay ahead of the 48 now.
And even though they're running a bunch of different lines, our top 3, Busch, Edwards, and Johnson on the stopwatch, their times are identical to each other.
I believe if I were Jimmy Johnson, and I believe he has a car that can really roll that bottom, and I think that's going to be a good place for him to hang.
He definitely was right around the bottom of the racetrack that time.
Oh, 20 car.
Logano hit the wall up in 4 and makes it down to pit road. No caution.
I think he may have blown a tire going into turn 3 over there. Kissed the wall, hit pit road.
Johnson got alongside Edwards but couldn't do anything with him. We stay green, 17 to go this time.
Yeah, I think the lap car of Andy Lally in that 71 played a big role in that.
It really did, Larry.
Kyle and Carl have finished 1-2 6 times in their Sprint Cup career. 4 wins for Kyle, 2 for Carl.
Here comes Johnson on the 48. Made a run that time through 3 and 4. Just can't run in the bottom. It's just hard to complete that pass.
It is, and of course Carl's trying. Carl's real good around the bottom too. But what they're getting now is they're seeing that 18 car starting to inch away from them.
It was a tense moment when Joey Logano got up into the wall, and look at him come down in front of traffic and the leaders on the way.
If you're going to do it, do it at the entrance of pit road.
Right place, right time, just wrong situation.
Logano's back in the race. 3 laps down.
I think what's going to maybe make this interesting here shortly is when these 3 leaders, the 18, the 99, the 48, when they run up on these the back of the field here, these lap cars, that could change things dramatically.
And that will happen as we cross 13 laps to go.
Because you see how hard it is to pass even somebody that you're faster than. So you get down here, Kyle does, and gets pinned down underneath somebody, that opens the top up.
Jimmy Johnson trying for second against Carl Edwards, as Matt Kenseth holds on to 4th ahead of Paul Menard. Menard had a try at him in turn 2 last lap. Didn't happen.
Saw Kurt Busch in that 22 that time sideways off of turn 2. He wants that top 5.
Harvick back in 7th, Biffle 8th, Kane 9th, Newman 10th.
Jimmie Johnson tried to highline him 3 and 4 or 1 and 2 that time, and it got away from him a little bit. He's got to get back to the bottom. No, he's going up there again, Larry. He thinks there might be a little speed up there if he can hook it up.
Well, he can search right now because he has no pressure from behind. And like Mike said, and you said, Darrell, they're about to catch a bunch of lap traffic with 9 to go.
Yeah, that's going to be the key really right here for these, for Kyle particularly. If he can work his way by these last 2 at the back of the field here, he'll be okay.
Joey Logano's problem was a broken wheel, which put him up against the wall and down onto pit road.
Listen, that's Bristol.
Yes.
We never break a wheel. But when you come to Bristol, you can break anything.
Break things that never got broke before.
8 laps to go, and Kyle Busch begins to run into traffic. Bill Elliott. Pretty much single file ahead of the leader.
That's good news for Kyle. Be able to pick them off one at a time.
And he's built a little bit of a cushion over Carl Edwards in the 99, so he has a little margin of error there right now.
Yeah, it almost looks like that Carl and Jimmie Johnson both are saying, "Uncle, I give."
It's like they used their stuff up all they could on that last restart, trying to do what they needed to do.
If Kyle can hang on here, this will be 5 wins in a row here.
0.7 of a second is the gap for Carl Edwards to catch Kyle Busch. Perhaps Kyle would have to have trouble in traffic as he pulls up on Travis Kvapil next and then A.J. Allmendinger.
Right now, if you're Kyle Busch, you're holding your breath. Let's let that white flag fly, please.
4 more laps.
His last 9 Bristol Cup races, 6 top 2 finishes.
I just go back to what I said in the beginning of the show. When you get your arms around this place, you love it. And right now, he's got his arms wrapped tightly around it.
3 laps to go. And Busch continues to extend his lead. It's now a full second.
Yeah, he's caught this traffic just right. He's worked his way by each one of these cars without any problem.
He wants to see that white flag. He knows we'll have a race then.
Combined, the Busch brothers have won half of the last 18 Bristol races.
Unbelievable. No bushwhackers today, boys.
White flag for the M&M's Toyota.
Sweep it again, baby. Sweep it again.
Off turn 4.
Oh, we did. Good job, M&M. Way to bring it, guys. You all won the race off pit road.
Kyle Busch scores his 20th Sprint Cup Series victory in his 226th start. Big battle to the line between Paul Menard, Kevin Harvick, and Kurt Busch. That battle for 5th settled in favor of Menard.
What a comeback for Kevin Harvick in that 29. Remember, he was in that caution back on lap 437.
These old race cars are tough, man.
Well, of all the cars that got wrecked today, Darrell, we ended the race with only 6 in the garage.
Yeah, again, it's a short track, and you hit the wall here. If you don't, if you don't just kill it, you can go in and get it fixed and get back out.
Kyle Busch ties Speedy Thompson for 33rd on NASCAR's all-time win list. His last win came here last August. It's been 15 races between Sprint Cup victories for Kyle.
And look at that old piece. Not a scratch on it. He drove a really smart race all day long.
And it runs Kyle's streak of consecutive winning seasons in this series to 7.
And I tell you, with the maturity he has shown me the beginning of this season, this could be a guy that could be a real threat to knock Jimmie Johnson off his throne.
Kyle Busch is the season's 4th different race winner, joining Trevor Bayne, Jeff Gordon, and Carl Edwards visiting Victory Lane.
He is a seasoned veteran is what he's doing right now.
Yeah. He could probably do that better than anyone.
First win for Toyota this season. and the first win this season for Joe Gibbs Racing. Kyle Busch goes to victory lane next.
Back at Bristol Motor Speedway at NASCAR on Fox, and there's your winner. Kyle Busch started 12th, was never out of the top 10, and held off Carl Edwards and Jimmy Johnson to pull into victory lane and take a bow. And let's head to victory lane and our Dick Byrd.
Come on out. Out, out, out.
And the broom for the clean sweep of the weekend. They ran a race yesterday. He won that. Last August, they ran 3 races in 3 different divisions. You won all 3. That's 5 in a row. So many race drivers would just give anything to win once here at Bristol. You've now got 5 in a row over 3 divisions. Do you realize how difficult this would be for anybody but you?
It was a lot harder today, that's for sure. Carl kept me honest there, and I was making a couple mistakes, but nothing we couldn't rebound from. You know, this M&M's Camry was awesome today. Can't thank the guys at Toyota and Joe Gibbs Racing. M&M's, thanks for signing up for another infinite years. You know, it's a multi-year deal, so we're excited about that. And this is a heck of a way to kick that off. You know, all the partners there and all the employees, all the people worldwide at M&M's, and you know, also our thoughts and prayers go to the Toyota folks and everybody in Japan. And you know, anybody can go to redcross.org and donate if they have anything to give. And you know, it's fun to come out here and do what we love to do, but in the travesties of things that happens in the world, it's cool to also give back to those guys. So thanks Sprint, Marquis Jets, Gillette, NOS Energy Drink, the fans. I mean, this is cool to come to Bristol.
And thanks for the driver as well. Listen, I
love it, baby.
Listen, so many people have got dented up race cars. I don't see a scratch in this. How'd you do that?
There's a couple on the right side. You just haven't gotten to that side. No, I mean, it's just, you got to be patient sometimes, and sometimes you got to go for it and put it through the middle. And, you know, there's a couple lap cars that kind of held me up a little bit, and I just kind of gave way too early in the race to push the issue, let Jimmy take the lead. You know, our guys, I tell you what, our guys on that last pit stop won this race coming out of the pits first. I don't know if I could have got by Carl. Carl was good, and our car was definitely better on the longer run. Obviously, you know, we kind of stretched it out a little bit there, but I was worried that Jimmy might get by him and come razzle me for a little while, but I felt good about these guys and what they did. Dave Rogers, awesome job. Thanks to you guys at Fox, and appreciate the time.
Well, thank you and congratulations, Chris.
Thanks, Dick. A changed man at age 25, but the same old outstanding driver, Kyle Busch, who in intros here was booed and said, oh, why can't we all just be friends? He has plenty of friends in victory lane, and we have a lot more to go from Bristol in just a moment. Back live, Jeff Hammond, Chris Myers, the Jeff Byrd 500, presented by Food City, and your winner is Kyle Busch. As we take a look at the unofficial results from this race, he seems a lot more comfortable in his own skin, his own fire suit, but the same old driver.
Same old driver right there. I mean, he's been able to handle the pressure. I think that was very interesting. He talked about Jimmy and Carl both putting pressure on him, but he made it work for him. Go through the rundown here. How about Dale Earnhardt Jr. just missing out on his 3rd straight top 10 finish, finishing 11th.
Some of the guys like Jeff Burton, who had to try to make up some ground in this, the 4th race of the season, having some problems. Jamie McMurray was caught up in one of the early wrecks.
And one problem, I want to tell you, he had a fast car, but he had a problem on pit road. He winds up 24th.
And Denny Hamlin, who came into the top 10 in points, going to a place that he does well after California, certainly Martinsville, Virginia, but hoping to make it round. And Trevor Bayne back in Tennessee, another disappointing run post-Daytona 500. Let's check in with Matt Yoakum, who's with Carl Edwards, who has a win and a couple of second-place finishes this year, including today, Matt.
And what a final run to the checkers. It always seems like you and Kyle Busch have the fans on their feet. What was the difference, though, on that last run?
It's simple. I should have hit him harder. He's still got one coming from Phoenix, but it's too far from the end to start racing like that. And I really thought I could get by him clean, but then his car took off and mine was loose. But I still got one in my pocket, you know. But he did a really good job driving. Our car, we struggled early. My guys came back. I got to thank Scott's, Easy Seat, Aflac, all my fans for supporting us. Didn't look so good in the middle of the race, but we'll just go to California. I don't want to have any time off. I want to go race some more. That's pretty close. probably won't let that happen again.
All right, Carl Edwards almost takes another one here in Thunder Valley.
Well, there's no time off. We go straight to California next weekend, 400 miles on Fox. To win here, you got to be good all day. You've got to be great at the end, and you look worn out.
Boys, I'm exhausted.
I believe you gave me 100%, didn't you?
I drove my heart out. I just want to thank all the boys down the truck, Barry and Artie and all the fans for being here today. And it's a great race. I'm going to go lay down now.
I think we got all he had, which is all we can ask of our driver here at Bristol.
I emptied the bucket today, boys. I emptied the bucket.
All right, let me just add, only one driver has a top 10 finish in every race this year, and that's our point leader, Kurt Busch.
Well, Jimmy, you led a lot of laps today, but talk about the final restart with 37 laps to go, what your strategy was, and why you couldn't catch the front.
Well, oddly enough, clean air is important here. It makes a big difference. I didn't see much of the 99 all day long, but I knew the 18 and I were relatively equal, and whoever had clean air could get a little gap, and that was kind of it. So it came down to that last pit stop. We didn't get off pit road first, and I think that's really where the race was gone at that point, especially with Kyle. He knows how to control the starts, knows how to take advantage of a clean racetrack, restarts well. He really had control from that point on, and it was the rest of us racing for second, third, and fourth.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Yep, you got it. Thank you. Good day for us.
A big hug from all of his family members. An impressive run by Paul Menard. This team just continues to impress.
Yeah, I mean, had a fast race car all weekend. What's cool is we've been to 4 different racetracks, and we've had strong runs at all 4. Testament to Slugger, everybody at RCR. There's a lot of talent up there. Slugger's built a hell of a race team, and just having a lot of fun right now.
All right, Paul Menard, 5th here in Bristol.
Well, Matt Kenseth, you guys weren't a factor early, but it seemed like you just kept getting that car better and better. Talk about your afternoon.
Yeah, it was a struggle. We really weren't a factor most of the day, and Jimmy and them guys made some really good adjustments at the end. They went the wrong way early and almost got a lap down, and finally got it better there at the end. And I also got very fortunate in the lines on the restarts where I got to line up and was able to make some spots on them short runs. And 4th is probably more than we deserve today, so it feels good to get a good finish.
Thank you, Matt.
All right, thanks.
What a comeback. Those were the words said on Kevin Harvick's radio. Did you just go through a little bit of everything in that race today?
Well, I just want to thank all my guys. When we were sitting there running 3rd, 5th, and really we were just riding, I just wanted to make sure that we had a race car left, and the 4 got a little tight, and 5 ran over us again. So luckily we didn't hit anything, and they got the fenders off the tires, and our Budweiser Chevrolet was just, really, really fast today, and especially the last run there. Able to maneuver and pass cars and do what I needed to do, but we've had top 5 cars every week, and we don't really have a lot to show for it, but we came back and got a good 6th place finish today. But these guys are doing a great job, and I think it really shows the maturity of the race team and the things that we go through and the way that we've been able to come back.
Kevin, I know it's early in the season, but other words on the radio that were said were that's what a championship team is all about. Do you feel that this year?
I have a championship team. We proved that we could race for it last year, and everybody's just so confident in each other, and everybody's just mellow on the radio, and when something happens, we just fix it and come back. And that's not a feeling I've ever had until last year, and these first 4 weeks have had that feeling over and over again, and we just keep fighting back.
All right, he loves this racetrack. He walks away today knowing he earned his money with a smile.
Thanks, Krista. And Kevin Harvick, remember, was the regular season champ. Jeff, as we look at the points here, we've had, the 4th different points leader in the 4 races so far this season. Look how close things are with Kurt Busch, Carl Edwards. You see Tony Stewart up there 3rd, who did not have a good day today.
Yeah, all these guys right now, they're scrapping, they're clawing, trying to keep up there. Even though, we saw real clear from Carl Edwards, I don't think he's worried about points, he's worried about wins. But as we take a look at these guys like Matt Kenseth, who's just outside of that top 12, that coveted top 12, again, this is where it begins. When you get some momentum going, just like Kevin Harvick, he jumped up there to 15th. That's what's important.
And Jeff Gordon with a win already in that top 20, which helps when you try to get into the chase. I like the colors that are out, and he likes the celebration. More from Bristol, where Kyle Busch is your winner in just a moment. Promotional considerations provided by
Big trouble here. Easy. Clear up. We didn't get messed up too bad there, did we?
Curious if Earl is chewing on a hot dog or a cheeseburger.
Still there. Just keep me posted.
posted if we have a green flag stop. Remind me, off of turn 3, off of turn 3. Don't wreck your race car because of him. Get easy, buddy. It's another day at the office.
It got loud and crowded and heated at times in the shrine of the sport, the Coliseum here at Bristol. But Kyle Busch, Jeff Hammond, when you think about Carl Edwards, Jimmy Johnson, those three drivers, talk about who's in the championship mix and maybe who can cool off Jimmy Johnson and his reign. There's two guys right with him.
Oh, yeah, they're putting the pressure on him early on me as far as Kyle Busch is concerned. He's showing right now, I'm not giving up, and neither is Carl Edwards. Carl was really upset that he finished second, a lot like Tony Stewart was when we were in Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago, and here we go to California, another big racetrack. I think he's looking forward to getting out there and kind of like flexing his muscles one more time to try to show that, hey, I can challenge Jimmy better than Kyle can.
The next two races we go to have been tracks that Jimmy Johnson has great success on. He's won 11 when you combine what he's done in California and in Martinsville. Coming up later tonight on Fox, Animation Domination continues. We hope you stay with us throughout for The Simpsons, American Dad, Bob's Burgers, The Cleveland Show. Mike Henry, who does the voice of Cleveland, a big fan of NASCAR on Fox and Fox Sports, and we'll be at the Auto Club 400 from Fontana, California, presented by Coca-Cola, 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 Pacific. And as we said, Jimmy Johnson from nearby El Cajon, California, won the race last year, and he has been outstanding when he has raced there. For more on today's race and all kinds of motorsports, you can catch Speed Center tonight at 7 Eastern over on our neighbors at Speed. For Daryl, Larry and Mike, and Krista, Matt, Dick, and Steve, and Jeff Hammond, I'm Chris Myers, our entire gang. Thanks for watching and being a part of NASCAR on Fox. We hope you join us next weekend. Have a great week. Kyle Busch, your winner in Bristol.
What's the matter? Can't we all just be friends?
Just bring it home, bud. Sweep it again, baby. Sweep it again.